The day of divorce. My cold CEO wife sped through 99 red lights in a row, but she still couldn't catch the flight abroad for me and our son. It all started with a drunken night during our senior year 5 years ago. That cold CEO woman took my first time. To keep me quiet, she threw a stack of cash at me. Fang Yuan, let's just pretend today never happened. I thought my years of secret love for her had finally borne fruit, but it turned out to be nothing more than my one-sided wish. Unexpectedly, she got pregnant that night, and so we got married for the sake of the child. After marriage, I treated her even better 10 times over, thinking I could melt her frozen heart. But ice remains ice, forever cold. Not only did she forbid me from making our marriage public, she even forced our son to call her auntie in public, until her white moonlight returned to the country. That day she stayed out all night for the first time. I knew it was time to withdraw from this ridiculous marriage, to let her be with the man of her dreams. So I tricked her into signing the divorce papers, and took my son on a plane to another country. From now on we go our separate ways. But when she returned home, and saw the vast empty house, with only the divorce agreement she signed herself left behind, she completely broke down. Even running 99 red lights couldn't stop me from leaving. At this moment at Jiangcheng Central Hospital, Liu Ruyan brought her white moonlight Xia Qiangkeng erection Lingadali. Cheng Mugo next dire, Trumpers Tigering Nami. Xia Qiang is the newly appointed cardiologist. Please guide him well. I watched her professional and business-like demeanor. It's hard to believe the woman standing before me is the wife I've been secretly married to for 5 years. But thinking back to the email I received last night, I suppressed the pain in my heart and gave a soft reply. Sure. After showing Xia Chuang around the department, I walked into the director's office alone. Director, I'll be going to Harvard Medical School for further studies next month. This is my resignation letter. After submitting my resignation, I stepped out of the director's office and looked up to see Liu Ruyan in her white lab coat, hurrying towards me. My footsteps came to a sudden halt. I stood there dazed for a moment. Liu Ruyan is the youngest deputy chief of cardiology. Young, talented, and incredibly beautiful. Many people in the hospital harbor secret crushes on her. And I, as her junior, have loved her secretly for many years. At an alumni gathering 2 years after graduation, the two of us had a blurred night together, leading to an unexpected pregnancy with our son, Xiao Yu. So we had to get married. I thought that after marriage I could warm that cold heart. Nyung tang bung mai la tang bung. Liu Ruyan wouldn't let me go public with our marriage. In public she even made Xiao Yu call her auntie. When I saw her just now I instinctively called out, Ruyan. But Liu Ruyan just furrowed her brows and spoke with a cold voice, Dr. Fang. That polite yet distant form of address seemed to be a reminder for me that we are currently on working hours, and we are nothing more than colleagues. My heart stung for a moment. I had intended to tell her about my resignation, but I saw her walking away in a hurry, brushing right past me, heading behind me. I turned around and saw Xia Qiang also in a white lab coat, holding a medical file and standing by the elevator. Smiling at her, I let out a self-deprecating smile. Xia Qiang was Liu Ruyan's university classmate. He went abroad for advanced studies after graduation. He finished his studies and joined this hospital 2 months ago. Back then the two of them were always seen as a pair. Liu Ruyan always showed an icy face to others, but she was only ever gentle with him. Even now, when she is already someone else's wife and mother, it's still the same. I saw Liu Ruyan saying something to Xia Qiang. Her brows relaxed, revealing a hint of tenderness. She even thoughtfully held the elevator door to let him go first. I lowered my head, swallowing the bitterness in my heart. Such a gentle and caring Liu Ruyan is someone I have never seen. If I can't warm her heart, then so be it. I will get a divorce and set her free. There are no surgeries scheduled for today. I'm finishing work on time. I'm heading to the preschool to pick up Xiao Yu. Daddy. When Xiao Yu saw me, his eyes lit up instantly. He ran toward me and jumped into my arms. You finished work so early today, Daddy. His smile was infectious. A smile played on my lips. Did you want to see Daddy that much? Xiao Yu nodded vigorously. Of course. I want you to pick me up this early every day. Looking into those clear eyes, my heart trembled slightly. The promise I wanted to make stayed trapped in my throat. In the end I could only ruffle his hair. I'll try my best to pick you up early every day, okay? Seeing Xiao Yu jumping with joy over a simple promise, my heart was filled with guilt. The loveless marriage between Liu Ruyan and me has also taken its toll on Xiao Yu, forcing him to suffer along with us. A moment later, my gaze became firm once again. Just 1 more month, and I'll take Xiao Yu away with me. From now on, I will give Xiao Yu all the love in the world, so he can grow up happy and healthy. As I took him back to the apartment complex, I ran into Xia Qiang and Liu Ruyan moving things in downstairs. Instinctively I wanted to avoid Xia Qiang, but he saw me first. He greeted me with a smile. Dr. Fang, do you live in this area too? It seems the place Ruyan helped me find is great. We're all staying here. I froze upon hearing that. I looked at Liu Ruyan, whose expression was completely indifferent. I could help but feel a pang of sorrow. I I remembered when we were buying our marital home, Liu Ruyan found it too troublesome to look at houses. I was the only one who went house hunting, running all over the city, before deciding on this complex. Now that Xia Chuang is renting a place, she doesn't find it troublesome at all, and takes care of everything herself. I gave a polite smile, and prepared to lead Xiao Yu away. Xia Chuang looked at Xiao Yu, and spoke up in surprise. Doctor, Fang is a year younger than me. I didn't expect your child to be this big already. He smiled and ruffled Xiao Wu's hair. I wonder what the child's mother does for a living. He only asked casually, but it made Liu Ruyan tense up. Her gaze towards me was heavy, seemingly carrying a hint of a warning. I looked straight into her eyes, my heart suddenly skipped a painful beat. I remained silent for a moment. A second later I smiled at Xia Chang and said slowly, "She's a doctor just like you, Dr. Xia, in the cardiology department." Liu Ruyan furrowed her brows almost imperceptibly, before returning to normal instantly, but I didn't miss the gloom that flickered in her eyes. My heart felt stifled. Is Liu Ruyan that afraid? Afraid of Xia Chang knowing she's married with a child? In the past I might have wanted the whole world to know about the relationship between Liu Ruyan and me, but now that I've decided to leave this relationship, no longer needs to be exposed. So looking into Xia Chang's surprised eyes, I added another sentence. Xiao Wu's mother works in another province, and rarely comes home. Xia Chang nodded. The surprise in his eyes vanished. He smiled and said, "What a coincidence." Then he leaned down to greet Xiao Yu. "Hello Xiao Yu, I am your uncle." Before he could finish his sentence, Liu Ruyan timely interrupted him. "The movers have finished with the furniture. We should go up and take a look." I knew she was afraid that Xiao Yu or I would accidentally let something slip. That's why she wanted to take Xiao Chang away first. Looking at Xiao Wu's innocent face, a wave of sorrow washed over me. But I could only suppress that discomfort, and held Xiao Wu's hand tightly. "Then I'll leave you to it, we won't bother you anymore." After saying that I turned and led Xiao Yu away. That evening while Xiao Yu was sound asleep, I was still waiting for Liu Ruyan to return. I stared at the divorce papers on the table. My emotions were a chaotic mess. But there wasn't a single shred of regret. This marriage was a mistake from that blurred night. Divorcing now is a timely stop to it all. While I was lost in thought, the sound of the door opening echoed. Liu Ruyan walked into the living room. Her beautiful face was illuminated by the light from her phone screen. A faint gentle smile lingered in her eyes. She didn't even spare me a glance, keeping her head down as she typed away. Seeing her like that, my heart felt like it had fallen into a pit of cold water. Liu Ruyan rarely stayed glued to her phone, and she certainly never chatted with anyone so enthusiastically. The way she is now, I didn't even have to guess who she was messaging. Seeing her about to enter the bedroom, I quickly composed myself and called out to her. "Ruyan, I have something to tell you." Only then did Liu Ruyan stop in her tracks. Her gaze on me turned to its usual indifference. "What is it?" I ignored her cold expression and bit my lips slightly. "Let's get a divorce." I stared at her intently. My voice was filled with seriousness. I wasn't joking. But Liu Ruyan didn't even bat an eyelid. She refused without a moment's hesitation. No way. I didn't expect her to answer like that. I was dazed for a moment. Just as I was about to say something more, she decisively turned around and went into the bedroom, ending the conversation with one final sentence. "I can't let my child grow up in a single-parent family." Looking at her resolute back, my chest felt like it was stuffed with dry cotton, heavy and bitter. Xiao Yu isn't even allowed to call her mom in front of others. So how is that any different from a single-parent family? The talk of divorce ended in a heavy atmosphere. I could only put the divorce papers away and look for another chance to get her signature. Early the next morning, after dropping Xiao Yu off at preschool, I went to the hospital. Though my time here was short, I still wanted to perform my final duties well. As soon as I arrived at the hospital and prepared for ward rounds, I was stopped by a nurse. "Dr. Pri, Fang, wait a bit before going in. Your patient Mr. Lee is arguing with his son. Be careful not to get caught in the crossfire." I was taken aback, suddenly remembering the rumors from before, that Mr. Lee's son was addicted to gambling and had squandered the family fortune. Now he even wanted to steal his father's medical funds. Every time his son came, Mr. Lee would pass out from rage, and since he was quite elderly, suffering from high blood pressure and coronary heart disease, he couldn't afford to be agitated. Concerned, I decided I would go and intervene. As soon as I reached the hospital room door, I heard the sound of something breaking. I was startled and horrified. I rushed into the room, only to see Liu Ruyan shielding Sa Qiangqi. "Protect him." Glass shards were scattered all around her feet. She was softly reassuring Sa Qiangqi, completely unconcerned about the deep cut on her arm from a glass shard. Blood was trickling down her arm. My ears rang with a buzz, seeing that bright red blood. My mind was in a turmoil. I tried to suppress my trembling heart and called for security to remove Mr. Lee's son, then checked. Mr. Lee's condition was stable, Only then did I take alcohol and gauze to find Liu Ruyan. But just as I rounded the corner of the hallway, I saw Xia Chang applying medicine to her wound. His movements were incredibly gentle, with an undisguisable look of pain in his eyes. Does it hurt a lot? Actually, you didn't have to shield me. I could have dodged it myself. But Liu Ruyan shook her head. It's okay. As long as you're not hurt, that's all that matters. My footsteps came to a halt. Looking at the warm scene between the two of them, my heart felt like it was being squeezed by someone. A wave of bitterness flooded my chest. I truly am the redundant one here. I suppressed the bitterness in my heart, and was about to leave, when I heard the nurses nearby whispering, I've never seen Dr. Really. Liu care about someone this much. It seems Dr. Xia holds a very special place in her heart. It would be so wonderful if Dr. Xia and Dr. Liu were together. They look so good together. The phrase good together reached my ears, piercing my heart like a sharp knife. I froze rooted to the spot. No one knows that Liu Ruyan is my wife. Instead, everyone is praising her as a good match for another man. My heart grew even more bitter. I was about to leave as if I hadn't heard anything, when a nurse saw me. She pulled me over and asked, Dr. Fang, you saw it too, didn't you? Saw what? Don't Dr. Liu and Dr. Xia look like a perfect match? Under everyone's gaze, my hands hidden in my sleeves clenched, and then relaxed. It took me a long time before I slowly nodded. They are indeed a good match. Right after I said that, Xia Chuang's voice rang out. What kind of match are you talking about? What is everyone saying? Looking in the direction of the voice, the two of them had finished bandaging the wound and were walking toward us. I was planning to change the subject, but the nurse was quick to tease. We all think you and Dr. Liu are a perfect match. A match made in heaven. As soon as those words were spoken, Liu Ruyan's gaze suddenly darkened. Her brows furrowed tightly. Xia Chang was also dazed, quickly waving his hand. Everyone, you've misunderstood. Ruyan and I are not. But Liu Ruyan spoke up coldly, cutting him off, her eyes fixed on me, with a hint of reproach. Dr. Mi Fang, shouldn't you be reassuring the patient's mental state to prevent something like this from happening again? Why are you so idle that you're here gossiping about other people's private lives? Her words were extremely harsh, sparing no one's feelings. Everyone's expression changed instantly. The atmosphere became incredibly awkward. I was also taken aback. Hearing the blatant protection she gave Xia Chang, my heart stung as if it were being cut by sharp stones. Since when did she start caring about such trivial matters? She never used to embarrass people in public like this. Now it's just that she doesn't want anyone gossiping about Xia Chang. I understood her intention almost immediately, but looking at the eyes of my colleagues around me, I blinked my stinging eyes. My voice was husky but calm. I asked back, Dr. Liu, are you being this protective because you truly have feelings for Dr. Docker? Xia, did I hit a nerve? As soon as I finished speaking, I saw Liu Ruyan's expression shift. Xia Chuang also got flustered, quickly denying it. No, of course not. We are just classmates. I gave a soft hum. I was only joking. Don't take it to heart. Then I made an excuse about having medical files to write, and hurried away. Until I returned to my office. Closing the door, I let out a breath of relief, and a faint sigh. I recalled Liu Ruyan's disappointed face when she heard Xia Chang say they were just classmates. The light in her eyes had faded. My heart once again felt a pang of sorrow. It turns out that all these years I wasn't the only one loving someone I couldn't have, but thinking about going abroad for further studies. I pulled myself together. Fortunately, I've decided to leave this melodramatic play behind. I'm bowing out now. That afternoon I went to find Liu Ruyan with the divorce papers. I knocked and entered, and saw her watering a potted plant on her desk. She looked incredibly focused, with a serious expression, as if she were taking care of a plant. But performing a delicate surgery, my footsteps halted, suddenly dazed. Didn't Liu Ruyan hate plants because she was afraid of bugs? She wouldn't even let Xiaoyu grow succulents, would she? Why is she doing this now? I slightly furrowed my brows, and saw a small card hanging from the pot, with the word Xia written on it. No wonder she's taking such meticulous care of it. It turns out it was a gift from Xia Chuang. My heart trembled slightly. Suppressing that sorrow, I flipped to the signature page of the divorce papers, and held them out to her. Please sign this. Before I could finish my sentence, Liu Ruyan's phone on the desk started ringing. I only caught a glimpse of Xia Chiang's name. Before she immediately picked it up, Xia Chiang's voice came through. Ruyan, there's a rather difficult case here. Could you come and take a look for me? A look of worry flashed in Liu Ruyan's eyes. She stood up abruptly. Sure, wait for me, I'm coming over now. She didn't hang up. Taking the folder from my hand with one hand, without even looking at it, she signed her name. She hurried out of the room, while still reassuring Xia Chuang on the other end of the line. I watched her figure quickly fade into the distance. Then I looked at the 3 words Liu Ruyan neatly written on the divorce papers. Countless emotions now turned into a sigh of relief. We were truly over. A few days later, I went to work as usual and took care of Xiaoyu, while also starting to look for a short-term rental house. Since I had divorced Liu Ruyan, I should move out of this house too. just as I had finalized a house, and was preparing to move that day. Liu Ruyan suddenly knocked on my office door. Are you free right now? I was a bit puzzled, to avoid any rumors. She rarely came to my office, even to discuss work matters. Usually I would be the one going to her office. Why did she stop by so suddenly today? What's the matter? I looked at the woman before me, Liu Ruyan. As I conveniently closed the door, she spoke casually. Our colleagues are coming over today to celebrate. Finish your work a bit early, pack your things, and take Xiao Yu to stay somewhere else for the night. I was dazed for a moment. My heart felt a dull stinging pain. It turns out her sudden visit was just to kick me out. But that's my home too. Why just to protect her single image? Do my son and I have to go into hiding? We that impossible to show in public? I looked at her, but I only saw the usual coldness and indifference in her eyes. The words I wanted to say were stuck in my throat. Finally, only one sentence remained. I understand. Anyway, I was planning to move out today. I didn't want to argue with her anymore. Thinking that my tone carried a hint of finality. I'll pack my bags and take Xiao Yu away. I won't bother anyone. After saying that I didn't care about her anymore and continued looking down at the medical files, Liu Ruyan slightly furrowed her brows, feeling that something was off. She was about to say something, as if she wanted to ask something, but thinking that Xia Qiang was still waiting for her, she suppressed that strange feeling, gave a nod, and turned to leave. I finished work early that evening, and picked up Xiao Yu from preschool first. On the way I held his small hands. Xiao Yu, in a little while pack your things, okay? Then come and stay with daddy somewhere else, all right? Xiao Yu stopped in his tracks. The boy stood and looked at me for a long time, before suddenly asking, Daddy, are you and Mommy getting a divorce? The question left me stunned. I knelt down and looked straight into his eyes. Why would you ask that, Xiao Yu? Xiao Yu spoke honestly. In my class, Yang Yang's daddy doesn't live with his mommy anymore. The teacher said that's called a divorce. The boy tilted his head and looked at me, blinking his clear eyes. Daddy, are you also divorcing Mommy? Is that why you're taking me to stay somewhere else? I didn't expect a child to be so sensitive. My heart suddenly trembled. I hesitated for a long time, before carefully choosing my words to ask him. So if Mom and Dad get a divorce, will you be sad? Xiaobi's face scrunched up like a little bun, and the little guy nodded immediately without a second thought. Yes. My heart suddenly tightened, and a wave of guilt instantly flooded my chest. I only thought about my own need to leave, completely ignoring my son's feelings. Was I making a terrible mistake? Just as my mind began to waver, I heard Xiaowu's innocent voice speak up again. Because if you get a divorce, you'll be very sad, Dad. If you aren't sad, then Xiao Yu won't be sad either. Those words were like warm spring sunshine, vanishing the guilt in my heart, and soothing my soul until my nose stung with tears. I couldn't help but pull Xiao Yu into a tight embrace, choking out the words, I won't be sad. As long as I have you by my side, I will never be sad again. Xiao Yu wrapped his tiny arms around me. I only need you, Dad. That woman won't even let me call her Mom. I don't want her anymore. His words were a bit stubborn, but it wasn't hard to see the resentment Xiao Yu had been suppressing for so long. My heart ached with infinite pity, blaming myself for failing to fulfill my duties as a father all this time. But feeling his warm small body in my arms, and thinking about leaving this place in 10 days, my soul felt a momentary sense of relief. So I lifted Xiao Yu high into the air, wearing a radiant smile. Let's get our things packed. We're leaving that place for our own new home. Xiao Yu clung to my neck, nodding excitedly, to the new house. The two of us finished packing and moved into the newly rented apartment. Just as we set foot in our new home, I received a call from a colleague. Dr. Fang, everyone is gathered for a party at Dr. Lia's house today. Why aren't you here yet? It was incredibly noisy on the other end. I froze for a moment, and was just about to decline, when I heard He Chuang's playful voice in the background. Ruyan, I lost the game. Everyone's making me find someone to share a cross-cup drink with. Before he could even finish his sentence, Liu Ruyan's voice rang out with a sense of urgency. I'll drink with you. The cheering on the other end of the phone grew louder. While I stood there like a statue, unable to utter a single word for a long time, Liu Ruyan was so eager to agree to He Chuang's request for a cross-cup drink that she didn't even wait for him to finish speaking. Before rushing to answer, was she afraid he would find someone else to drink with? Or was it because of this cross-cup drink that she had been waiting for all these years? My mind was a tangled mess, until that colleague spoke up again. Dr. Fang, are you still there? I'll send you the address, okay? I finally snapped back to reality. My voice raspy. I have things to do at home, I can't make it. You all have a good time. With that I decisively hung up. The phone screen reflected my own face full of bitterness and sorrow. I let out a silent sigh. Liu Ruyan and He Chuang were having such a great time. Why should I go there just to be humiliated? The next day I went to work as usual, but I didn't expect to get stuck in traffic while taking Xiao Yu to school. I had to take a detour, so I arrived at the hospital a few minutes later than usual, just as I finished clocking in, and was about to change for the meeting. I happened to run into Liu Ruyan and He Chuang. Liu Ruyan saw me still in my street clothes, looking breathless and flustered. She instinctively furrowed her brow, her mouth opening to reproach me immediately. Why haven't you changed yet? It's bad enough you usually arrive at the last minute, but today is a major meeting, didn't you know to come early? Seeing her, the memory of last night filled me with resentment, so I only gave a perfunctory reply. Traffic while taking the kid to school. After saying that, I tried to push past to go change. But Liu Ruyan, seeing my indifferent attitude, frowned even more deeply. Her voice became ice cold. Children are no excuse. This is a problem with your time management skills. If you knew how to plan ahead a little better, you wouldn't have to be in such a rush. I froze in my tracks, hearing her self-righteous words. The resentment from last night suddenly erupted into a blaze of fury. I have always been the only one responsible for Xiaowa's school runs. Even when I had surgeries, or late-night shifts, I had to ask other parents or friends for help. Liu Ruyan has never helped once, and yet now she has the nerve to criticize me. I clenched my fists, looking straight into Liu Ruyan's cold eyes, and asked her back, Dr. Liu, are you trying to teach me how to do my job? Besides, I'm not even late, and even if I were truly late, what business is it of yours, Dr. Liu? The moment I finished speaking, Liu Ruyan's face darkened to the extreme. The atmosphere suddenly became thick with tension. Seeing this, He Chuang quickly stepped in to mediate. He wore a gentle smile. Dr. Fang, Ruyan is only concerned about you, working so hard raising a child alone. That's why her words were a bit harsh. Don't take it to heart. I was already in a rage, and hearing that intimate way of addressing her only made me feel incredibly disgusted. I couldn't help but sneer sarcastically. Since you and Dr. Liu are so close, Dr. Why bother coming to my cardiology department? You might as well just transfer to cardiovascular surgery already. With that, I didn't even spare them a glance, and decisively turned my back and left. I changed my clothes and entered the meeting room. This meeting was primarily to discuss the surgery for a newly admitted patient with dilated cardiomyopathy. This operation required coordination between cardiology and cardiovascular surgery. The surgery department had confirmed Liu Ruyan as the lead surgeon. The director looked over at me. Cardiology, who does Dr. Fang recommend? I hesitated for a moment, looking at the lineup of young doctors under my wing, then decided I would perform it personally. I was leaving soon anyway, and being able to lead one last surgery, to pass on more experience to the next generation, would be a good thing. So I looked at the director. I'll do it. The director understood my intention, and nodded in approval. Just as he was about to make the announcement, he saw Liu Ruyan slightly furrow her brow. Her voice rang out coldly. No. I was stunned, instinctively looking toward her. I only heard Liu Ruyan's emotionless voice. I don't trust someone who arrives at the very last minute to maintain seriousness and caution on the operating table. I do not agree to Feng Yuan participating in this surgery. The moment those words were spoken, my heart stung with a sharp pain. I have been in this profession for so many years, and I have never allowed a single mistake on the operating table. There was no way Liu Ruyan didn't know that, so on what basis did she remove my name from the surgery over such a trivial matter? My gaze darkened, and I was about to speak up in protest, when Liu Ruyan added another sentence. I nominate Dr. Chuang to be my assistant. When Liu Ruyan said this, her tone suddenly became gentle, and her eyes were filled with sweet affection as she looked at He Chuang. My chest felt tight with bitterness, and the words I intended to say were stuck in my throat. I knew all too well that Liu Ruyan didn't care about my supposed mistake. She just wanted to use this excuse to give He Chuang a chance to show off. Feeling the scrutinizing gazes of everyone around me, my heart felt as if it had been plunged into ice water, filled with both sorrow and self-pity. She could actually trample over me just to pave the way for He Chuang's advancement. The director hesitated for a moment, but ultimately granted Liu Ruyan's request. After the meeting adjourned, the director held me back for a private talk. I know you have good intentions, wanting to set an example for your juniors again, but in the end, practice is the only way to progress. If we don't give them a chance at the operating table, when will they ever grow? The director patted my shoulder, comfortingly. After you leave, He Chuang is the most capable person to succeed you, so we need to create opportunities for him. I knew the director's words made perfect sense. He Chuang had a solid theoretical foundation, and extensive clinical experience abroad. He was just new to the country and needed time to adapt. I let out a soft sigh, then nodded. I understand. I followed the director out of the meeting room, and happened to encounter Liu Ruyan. It seemed she had intentionally waited at the door, and seeing me exit with the director, she asked with a suspicious tone, "What did the director say?" I still remembered her attitude from earlier, so I didn't even want to open my mouth to answer, only asking back, "Is there something you need?" Liu Ruyan seemed to be asking casually. When she saw I didn't respond, she didn't mind, but only lowered her voice, saying, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you lose face like that during the meeting." My heart flickered slightly. I looked at her in quite a bit of surprise. Throughout all our years together, Liu Ruyan had always treated me with cold indifference. Even when conflicts arose, I was always the one who had to humble myself and apologize. Why was she being so strange today? But then her low voice spoke again. This collaboration was my own initiative. It has nothing to do with He Chuang, so don't make things difficult for him. The moment she said that, the way I looked at Liu Ruyan shifted to shock mixed with profound disappointment. It turned out she only humbled herself to apologize, because she was afraid I would trouble He Chuang. My hands hidden in my sleeves clenched into fists, my heart overflowing with bitterness and grief. In Liu Ruyan's heart, am I ultimately just a man who confuses public and private matters and abuses his power? My throat felt tight, and my lips quivered slightly, but I couldn't utter a word. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan thought I was still sulking. She raised her hand to rub her forehead, her tone softening slightly. Fine, it's my fault. Stop being angry. How about I pick you and show you up to go home tonight? Looking at her face full of impatience, and hearing those words as if she were granting a favor, the resentment in my heart grew even stronger, until I felt like I couldn't even breathe. I clenched my fists tight, then spoke coldly. No need. We won't be going back there. Liu Ruyan furrowed her brow upon hearing that. She only thought I was acting out of spite, so she blurted out, if you don't go home, where else can you possibly go? Looking at her indifferent, heartless expression, my heart ached. I couldn't help but exclaim, that is your house. Not. Before I could finish my sentence, He Chuang rushed over from somewhere and interrupted. Ruyan, everyone is looking for you. Just got a congenital heart case. The situation is critical. Please come down and take a look. Liu Ruyan immediately nodded in agreement. She threw back the words, send me the address, then hurried away. I watched her flustered figure retreat, and let out a soft sigh. I will never let Liu Ruyan know the new address. We are divorced. That is the private home of Xiao Yu and me. Completely unrelated to Liu Ruyan now. In the following days, the cardiovascular surgery department was insanely busy. Liu Ruyan seemed to be on call and sleeping at the hospital day and night, so she didn't mention picking us up again. It saved me the trouble of explaining. I continued to work and leave on time, shuttling Xiao Yu to school. Life was passing by very peacefully and comfortably, until there were only 10 days left before my official departure. While I was packing Xiao Yu's luggage, I suddenly realized my passport was still left at the old house. Coincidentally, it was a day off, so I took Xiao Yu back there to retrieve it. However, the moment I opened the door and walked in, I saw several pairs of unfamiliar men's shoes on the shoe rack, and a man's coat was hanging on the coat rack as well. My heart sank, a dark premonition washing over me. Just moments later, the bedroom door swung open, and He Chuang in his pajamas, and looking half asleep, walked out. Seeing the two of us at the door, he froze for a moment. Dr. Fang, why are you here? My heart completely shattered. Looking at He Chuang acting like he owned the place, my body couldn't stop trembling, and my hands instinctively clenched into tight fists. It took a while for me to snap out of it. I forced a smile, keeping my head down to hide my eyes, which were starting to redden. Dr. Liu asked me to drop by and pick up some things. With it, I went straight to the drawer under the tea table, took out the passport, and prepared to take Xiao Yu and leave immediately. However, He Chuang called me back, his voice sounding quite anxious. Dr. Fang, Ruyan and I didn't let him finish, quickly interrupting. Dr. Tuiratimus. Sembim, Ryan Antar, Shifurziverstuer. Lek to Duhingur Dot Liam. Sickfully, interrupting. Doctor says, Wanton, rest assured, I won't breathe a word about this at the hospital. After speaking, I felt like I was fleeing, as I rushed out the door. Only when I reached the ground floor did I dare to let out a breath of relief. No wonder Liu Ruyan hadn't made a single move to bring us home. It wasn't because she was too busy at the hospital and forgot, but because our departure was exactly what she wanted. My heart ached as if sliced by a knife, my hand instinctively gripping tight, until I gripped Xiao Yu so hard it hurt him, and he started to squirm. I finally came to my senses, hurriedly loosening my grip, then crouching down to apologize. I'm sorry. Xiao Yu, I was so lost in thought I didn't notice. I didn't mean to hurt you. Xiao Yu shook his head slightly, his wide eyes fixed on me. Dad, was that Uncle Mom's boyfriend? Will he be my new dad from now on? Hearing my son's innocent words, my heart suddenly flared with intense pain. I managed to force a faint smile. Xiao Yu, why would you think that? Xiao Yu lowered his head, looking aggrieved as he said, Doong's new mom lives in the same house as him and his dad, and she even picks him up after school sometimes. The little guy pouted and threw himself into my arms. I held him tight, Xiao Wu's voice trembling vulnerably. I don't want that, uncle. I only need you, Dad. His innocent words made my heart both ache and feel strangely warm. When I saw He Chuang earlier, My eyes only felt a bit watery. But now my tears were overflowing uncontrollably. My throat was tight and my voice trembled with every breath. As I slowly tightened my embrace around the soft little being in my arms. Don't be afraid, Xiao Yu. You won't have a new dad. It will just be the two of us. I gently stroked Xiao Wu's hair. My movements incredibly soft, both to comfort him and to strengthen the resolve in my own trembling heart. Tomorrow I will see the director to resign early. This marriage, the cooling off period is over, and I already have the divorce certificate in hand. In this city I no longer have any reason to stay. Early the next morning I stood at the door and knocked on the director's office. Director, I am requesting to resign as of today, so I can move to the States and settle down earlier than planned. The director saw the determination in my eyes, so he offered no further objections, only saying, the dilated cardiomyopathy surgery is scheduled for today. If you're free, go over there to observe and give them a bit of support. I was stunned for a moment. Remembering how Liu Ruyan had bluntly humiliated me in that meeting, my instinct was to refuse. But then I thought this was He Chuang's first time as lead surgeon. To be honest, I still felt a bit uneasy. So I didn't hesitate any longer. I changed into my scrubs and entered the observation room, watching He Chuang's practiced movements. I remained highly focused, ready to provide feedback on the patient's condition at any moment. Finally, I let out a silent sigh of relief. He Chuang's technique was indeed very solid. After I leave, he will surely carry the responsibilities of the cardiology department well. I could finally rest easy, with the burden lifted from my heart. I noticed the seamless coordination between Liu Ruyan and He Chuang. It was as if He Chuang's years away were just a dream. They were still as close as they were back in university. Understanding each other's thoughts with just a single glance, I paused for a moment. In the past my heart would have overflowed with unspeakable sorrow, but now I only silently looked away. From the moment I caught He Chuang in Liu Ruyan's house yesterday, I truly had no attachments left in my heart. Anyway, I'm leaving soon. No matter what happens between Liu Ruyan and He Chuang, what does it have to do with me? The surgery had just ended, and I took a step out early. After changing, I planned to head back to the office to finish packing my things. Dr. Fang. That familiar voice rang out, causing my footsteps to halt. I turned my head and saw Liu Ruyan's tightly furrowed brows, as she asked in a low tone, "Did you go home yesterday?" Hearing her questioning tone, I found it absolutely ridiculous. That was also a place where I'd spent 5 years of my life. Did I really have to ask her permission, just to go back and grab some things? I was truly too tired to bother arguing anymore. So I swallowed my sarcasm. I just gave a slight nod. Yeah, I went back to get some personal belongings. My indifferent aloof attitude made Liu Ruyan's brow furrow even more. A hint of suspicion seemed to arise within her. If it had been the old me seeing a strange man in my house, I would have surely been in a rage demanding an explanation. How could I be so strangely calm now? But she only hesitated for a moment. Before offering an explanation, He Chuang's place is having plumbing issues, so I told him to stay at our place for a few days. I looked deep into her shifting eyes, only feeling how incredibly false those words were. If he were just staying over, why wasn't he sleeping in the guest room, but instead comfortably ensconced in our master bedroom? I slightly lowered my eyelids and gave a faint smile. I was just about to speak, when He Chuang's urgent voice cut me off. Ruyan, the post-op review meeting is starting. Hurry up and come inside. Liu Ruyan's attention was immediately diverted. She nodded back to He Chuang, no longer caring about what I was going to say. Instead, she just issued an order. You and Xiao Yu stay out for 3 more days. Wait until He Chuang has moved out. Then I'll come pick you two up and bring you home. Without waiting for my response, she hurried off into the meeting room. I watched her figure disappear behind the doors at the end of the hall, letting out a long choked-up sigh after a long time. Oh, Liu Ruyan, you won't be picking us up anywhere, because I've already changed the flight tickets. By tomorrow we will be on our way to Boston, USA. I withdrew my gaze, turning my back without a trace of regret to head straight to my office, to pack up the last of my things. Many familiar doctors and nurses, upon hearing I was resigning, showed utter astonishment on their faces. So sudden. You say you're going to study in the US, and you're just leaving. You didn't breathe a word about this. Seeing everyone's curious eyes, I just gave a simple answer to get it over with. Xiao Wu's mom is working in the US long term, and I want to further my own studies, so I decided to go with her. We can't just keep the boy away from his mother forever. Everyone nodded in understanding, then said with regret, if it's for the child's future, then there's really no other way. I gave a slight smile, and proactively changed the subject. I'd like to give this succulent to the head nurse. When the work gets too stressful, looking at cute things like this will make you feel better. And these banners, just leave them hanging in the department. Let them be a reminder to future doctors to always remember their mission, and never fail the expectations of patients and their families. I distributed the items I could take with me to my colleagues one by one, until my gaze landed on the fountain pen on my desk, which I'd used for so long. I felt a rare moment of hesitation, because this was the only gift Liu Ruyan had ever given me. Liu Ruyan was naturally a cold and emotionless woman. She never cared about holidays, let alone our wedding anniversaries. This pen was given to me on the day I was officially hired at Jiangcheng Central Hospital. Liu Ruyan had given it to me, and for all these years I had cherished it like a treasure, keeping it with the utmost care. But now seeing that pen lying quietly on the desk, a wave of bitter sorrow rose within me. Without further hesitation, I decided to give the pen to the head nurse, asking her to personally deliver it to Liu Ruyan for me. Consider it the final parting gift I have for her, to thank her for our years of professional camaraderie. I wish her peace and success in everything from now on, and that all her wishes come true soon. After finishing my goodbyes to all my colleagues, I took Xiaoyu back home to pack our belongings, and didn't forget to call a courier to send the divorce papers straight to Liu Ruyan's house. Finishing all this, it was already late at night. Xiaoyu was fast asleep. As for me, I couldn't fall asleep for the longest time. I sat on the balcony looking into the silent night, scrolling through the messages between me and Liu Ruyan. I hadn't noticed before. Only now did I realize the chat was mostly me talking to myself. I let out a soft laugh. I didn't feel too sad, just paused for a moment, then resolutely deleted all of Liu Ruyan's contact information. A farewell needs to be thorough. Now I have no more lingering attachments. I can finally leave with peace of mind. When the bright dawn broke, I boarded the flight to America with Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu kept his eyes glued to the blue sky and white clouds outside the window. After watching for a long time, he turned back to ask his dad, "Are we in the sky, Daddy?" I smiled, looking at his innocent appearance. "That's right, we're flying to America to start a new life." Is Xiaoyu happy? The tiny little figure nodded without any hesitation. His eyes were sparkling with joy. "As long as I'm with Daddy, I'm happy." Looking at his pure smiling face, I couldn't help but pat his head. "Me too. As long as I'm with Xiaoyu, Daddy is the happiest." Just as I finished speaking, the plane pierced through the cloud layer. Brilliant sunlight immediately flooded the entire cabin. Feeling the warm embrace of the sun, my body felt as if it were filled with new strength. It seemed all confusion and pain ended at this very moment. The future would be a bright horizon. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan had just left the operating table. Returning to her office, there were several missed calls on her phone. She hesitated for a moment, just as she was about to call back. Shakchang knocked on the door. "Ruyan, thank you for letting me stay over these past few days. The house was finished earlier than expected. I moved all my things out this noon. Finally, you don't have to sleep in the office anymore. You can go home and get a good night's sleep." He laughed brightly, taking out a succulent plant from behind his back, placing it on Liu Ruyan's desk. "A thank you gift for you." Liu Ruyan pursed her lips, instinctively about to refuse. But looking at that small, delicate succulent, somehow she thought about whether Feng Yuan had ever told her that Xiaoyu really liked succulents. Liu Ruyan hesitated for a while. Eventually she accepted it, only saying, "I'll take this. Those potted plants you asked me to look after before. Can you take them back now?" As she spoke, she pointed to a few green plants that looked out of place in the office. Those were the plants Xia Chang had almost killed, thinking she had taken an elective on plant protection in college. He had asked her to care for them. At that time she had flatly refused. "I'm a doctor who treats people, not a veterinarian or a botanist." As a result, after just one patient visit, several withered plants were already arranged in her room. Xia Chang even hung a sign, writing, "Please, doctor, Liu, save them." She sighed. She had no choice but to agree, caring for them for nearly a whole month. Only then did she revive those dying plants. Xia Chang looked at the plants that were full of life again. His eyes lit up. "Ruyan, I really didn't misjudge you." He smiled and gave a thumbs up. "Doctor, Liu really has a golden touch." A merciful doctor saying that he carefully picked up the plants, then turned to leave the office. Before leaving, he suddenly remembered something, turning back to say, "Oh right, a package arrived this morning. I signed for it for you, it's on the coffee table." Liu Ruyan immediately thought of the missed calls earlier, so it was the delivery person. But the next second she frowned. She hadn't bought anything recently, and all the household items were bought by me. The registered phone number was also mine. Why would they call her phone? Liu Ruyan was a bit puzzled. It happened to be time to get off work. After she finished changing her clothes, she dialed my number. Originally she wanted to tell me that she would pick up the two of us today, but the next second there was only a cold automated message. "The number you have dialed is currently powered off. Please try again later." Liu Ruyan's heart suddenly tightened, feeling it was extremely strange. Our phones were required to be on 24/7. In case of emergencies, how could my phone be turned off? The more Liu Ruyan thought, the more she felt something was wrong. After hanging up, she went straight to my office to look for me. But all she saw was a dark, empty space. The door was locked tight. The lights weren't on either. These abnormal occurrences happening one after another finally made Liu Ruyan knit her brows tightly. Her heart trembled slightly. A sudden surge of unease welled up. While passing by the nurse's station, she hurriedly called over the head nurse, who was on good terms with me. "Where is Dr. Fang?" The next answer pinned Liu Ruyan in place. Dr. Fang has resigned. Didn't Dr. Liu know? Liu Ruyan's face, which was always cold, cracked in an instant. Her eyes, usually as calm as a lake, suddenly showed shock. When did that happen? Her voice trembled, as if she couldn't believe her ears. This was the first time the head nurse had seen Liu Ruyan like this. She was stunned for a moment before regaining her composure. Just yesterday saying that she seemed to remember something, she took out a fountain pen. Right, doctor? Fang asked me to give this pen to you. He said it's a parting gift for you. Thank you for working together over the years. He wishes you all the best from now on. May all your wishes come true. Liu Ruyan looked at the familiar pen, standing frozen for a while. This was the gift she gave me on the day I started working. She still remembered clearly how excited I looked back then. Light sparked in my deep eyes that she had never seen before. I had carefully held the gift in my arms and nodded slightly. Thank you. I will definitely become a good doctor. Time flew by. Over all these years, every time Liu Ruyan saw me using this pen, she would think of those sparkling naive eyes from years ago. But hearing the head nurse's words, her heart suddenly constricted with pain. May all your wishes come true. Liu Ruyan's gaze darkened. She bit her lip. Combined with my unusual behavior recently, she hardly needed to think much. She understood why I said that. I thought she still had feelings for Sha Chang, so I silently resigned and left like that. Liu Ruyan was filled with anger. She clenched her fists. How could I leave without even discussing it with her? Leaving just like that. If only I had been willing to ask her, everything could have been explained clearly. It wouldn't have come to this. Liu Ruyan. The atmosphere around her was like a volcano about to erupt. The head nurse took a fearful step back, not understanding why she was so angry. Just as she was about to say something, she heard her ask, "Did Dr. Fang say where he was going?" She nodded hurriedly. Dr. Fang said that his wife is going to America for work, so has going along with her. Wife. Liu Ruyan clenched her fists even tighter. She almost couldn't help but let out a mocking laugh. How come she herself didn't know she was going to America for work? Liu Ruyan was so angry she lost her sense, almost forgetting that she was the one who demanded colleagues not know they were married. She closed her eyes to suppress that terrifying cold aura. Also temporarily suppressed her anger at me for leaving without a word. Then she turned and went straight home. It must be a moment of impulse to just go to America like that. She'll probably come back in a few days once her anger subsides. After all, the two were already married. Even if I left, I would eventually have to return. Liu Ruyan told herself this, then drove home. Perhaps Xie Qing had hired cleaners before leaving. So the house was extremely tidy and clean. Just like a new house, normally. Seeing this simple scene, she should have felt relaxed. But now a sense of emptiness suddenly surged in her heart, as if she was the only one living in this house from beginning to end. No me and no Xiao Yu. Liu Ruyan frowned slightly. Her anger had gradually cooled down after the long drive. She had restored her usual calm demeanor. But looking at the empty house now, her mind became a mess. She rarely felt so flustered. She couldn't help but tell herself, should I just take some time off and personally go to America to bring Fang Yuan and his son back? Thinking this, Liu Ruyan went under the coffee table, taking out the folder for personal documents to prepare to get her passport. But as soon as she took out the folder, she saw two documents inside. One in English was the admission notice from Harvard Medical School. The one in Chinese was a mutual divorce agreement. Liu Ruyan's heart sank to the bottom. She stared at the name Fang Yuan in the students section, and the two names already signed at the end of the agreement. Stunned for a long time, she finally let out a bitter self-mocking smile. Fang Yuan didn't go abroad to clear his head. He really went to study abroad. He even tricked her into signing the divorce papers. He had no intention of coming back at all. If her guess was correct, that package was also sent by me. Inside must be the divorce certificate. Liu Ruyan tremblingly opened it. Sure enough, everything was as she predicted. Looking at the pile of papers and certificates on the table, Liu Ruyan's heart felt surrounded by cold wind. A piercing, numbing pain washed over her. I just left like that. Liu Ruyan was in so much pain she laughed. She covered her face with her hands. All emotions were hidden behind a long sigh. The bitter sound echoed in the empty house, and it was destined never to have a response. All of Liu Ruyan's pain, regret, and torment, I was completely unaware of. At this moment I was waiting for a transit at San Francisco Airport. Xiao Yu was still too small, and it was his first time on such a long international flight. A continuous journey of over 10 hours made him extremely tired. His small fair face was now all scrunched up. I felt terribly sorry for him. At the same time, I was secretly lucky I had booked business class. If it were economy class, cramped and stuffy, Xiao Yu would surely have been much more uncomfortable. So during the few hours waiting for the connection, I took Xiao Yu to the hamburger shop he had always dreamed of. The shop was packed with people. There was almost no empty space left. I looked around once, only found one empty spot way in the corner. Although there was already a child sitting there, I still took a chance and went over to ask, "Hi there. Sorry to bother you, can I sit?" Before I could finish, the person looked up, Only then did I see the blonde hair under the hat and the amber eyes. The girl had porcelain skin, sharp features that looked mixed race. I was stunned for a moment, thinking this spot probably belonged to her relatives. Just as I was about to apologize and leave, she looked up at me. With a slightly distant look, she still nodded slightly in agreement. I quickly said thank you, then led Xiao Yu to sit down. The girl looked hard to approach, but turned out to be quite easygoing. That thought just flashed through my mind, and I didn't pay it much mind. I ordered food for Xiao Yu, then ate with him, seeing him obediently holding the hamburger and eating heartily, gradually regaining his usual liveliness. Only then could I breathe a sigh of relief. Making Xiao Yu travel such a long distance was my fault. Now that he seemed better, my guilt lessened a bit, thinking that I wiped away the ketchup stuck on Xiao Yu's face, then turned back. Just as I was eating my meal, I noticed the girl opposite was observing me. I was a bit surprised. Catching her eye, I asked, "Is something wrong?" The girl shook her head, didn't answer, just took a tissue to wipe her nose, then looked away as if to hide something. Didn't mind much. It was just that look she gave me earlier seemed to hold a faint sadness. Didn't seem like she had bad intentions. On the contrary, it felt like she was reminiscing about something through me. I couldn't help but wonder, could the interaction between me and Xiao Yu have reminded her of her own parents? Seeing her sitting all alone in the bakery, so out of place in the lively atmosphere around, my heart suddenly felt heavy. Since becoming a father, I've always paid special attention to children. While I was deep in thought, Xiao Wu's surprised cry pulled me back. "Daddy, look at the big sister." I snapped out of it and looked over. Seeing the girl opposite's face was flushed red. Her brows were tightly knit. Her chest was heaving violently, looking like she couldn't breathe at all. "It's an asthma attack." My gaze sharpened, seeing her trying to reach for the backpack on the suitcase. I immediately jumped up. With extremely swift movements, I opened the backpack and found the inhaler inside. The whole process took less than 5 seconds. Watching her spray the medicine into her mouth and nose, and gradually regain a normal breathing rhythm. Only then could I sigh in relief. I told Xiao Yu to get a paper cup and pour her some water. After using an inhaler, you need to rinse your mouth to avoid unwanted side effects. Only now did she show the appearance of a child. She looked at me intently, then gave a solemn nod of thanks, and took the cup of water. Seeing her complexion had stabilized, Xiao Yu had also finished his hamburger. It was almost time to board the plane, so I planned to say goodbye and leave. But she suddenly pulled my hand back and wrote "thank you" in my palm. I was a bit stunned, not just because I was surprised to know she couldn't speak, but also because I was shocked to see that she wrote 2 Chinese characters. So she was also Chinese. I slightly closed my palm, thinking about how I had been speaking English to her all this time. It felt quite funny. So I lowered my head and laughed. Shaking my head slightly, I said, "It's nothing. Meeting is a kind of fate. If we're destined, we'll meet again." After saying that, I turned to leave. I thought this was just a brief crossing of paths. Never expected fate to be so miraculous. As soon as I stepped into the plane cabin, I saw that blonde girl again. The airline staff had asked for my opinion during check-in, saying the passenger sitting next to me was an unaccompanied minor, and asked if I could accept that seat. If I found it bothersome, they would arrange to change my seat. I had just shaken my head and said I didn't mind. Then the next second I saw the blonde girl enter the cabin. Seeing me, her eyes lit up a bit. She nodded slightly to me as a greeting. Then, under the flight attendant's guidance, she sat down right in the seat next to me. I also chuckled to myself, thinking what a coincidence it was. We were just sitting at the same table. Never thought we'd be neighbors on the flight. While I was still marveling at this coincidence, I suddenly felt my sleeve being pulled by Xiao Yu. He softly asked, "Daddy, is this the friend who doesn't have parents with her, but still flies by herself like you said earlier?" These were the words I had just explained to Xiao Yu about the unaccompanied minor status. Seeing him ask directly like that, I quickly glanced at the blonde girl. Seeing that she didn't seem to hear, I could finally feel at ease, then answered Xiao Yu, "That's right, son. She's flying all by herself. Isn't she amazing? Kids at this age are all competitive." I didn't want Xiao Yu to feel she was pitiful, to avoid hurting a child's self-esteem. Besides, I really didn't think that flying alone was something to be pitied. I actually found her independence very impressive. Xiao Yu nodded vigorously, looking at the girl with eyes full of admiration and respect. "Yes, big sister is so amazing." Thinking that, he rummaged in his small bag for a pack of candy, then handed it to the blonde girl. "Sister, I'm treating you to this candy." This pack of candy was Xiao Yu's favorite. Only people he really liked got a share. The blonde girl looked at the pack of candy suddenly appearing before her, then turned to look at Xiao Yu. Meeting those bright, sincere eyes, she paused for a moment. I quietly watched the 2 children making friends, without any intention of stopping them. The blonde girl hesitated for a moment, then finally reached out to take it. Xiao Yu immediately broke into a bright smile. "You took my candy, so we're good friends now. You have to teach me how to fly by myself. I want to be as amazing as you." Hearing Xiao Yu say that, she seemed a bit shy and lowered her eyelashes. Xiao Yu was about to say more, but I was afraid his enthusiasm would bother her. So I quickly stopped him. The plane is about to take off. Sit properly now. A few hours of flight passed quickly. I wasn't just keeping an eye on Xiao Yu, but also took some effort to look after the blonde girl. That girl was really well behaved. Just wearing her headphones and scribbling, or drawing in a notebook, looking very calm and gentle. I was once worried her asthma might relapse, but luckily nothing happened, until we landed safely in Boston. It was already afternoon US time. I finished picking up the checked luggage and walked out of the airport gate. Just as I was about to turn back and say goodbye to the girl, I saw Xiao Yu holding her hand tightly, refusing to let go. Sister, I still don't know your name. For some reason, Xiao Yu seemed extremely attached to this girl. I was about to tell Xiao Yu to let go, when I saw her smile slightly. The distant aura surrounding her suddenly vanished like spring sunshine. Revealing the inherent innocence of a child, she leaned down and handed me a slip of paper, probably afraid Xiao Yu couldn't read it, so she intentionally had me read it aloud for him. Bai Ruxu. I slowly uttered her name. It was a beautiful name. She nodded in confirmation. Xiao Yu also mumbled it once, then laughed, holding her hand. Then I'll call you Ruxu from now on. Before he could finish, a deep voice suddenly rang out. Ruxu, Ruxu. I was stunned for a second, seeing Bai Ruxu stop in her tracks, then turned her head toward the person calling. It was a woman in a pure white dress, looking very graceful and soft. Behind her gold-rimmed glasses were deep, calm eyes. Her temperament was very gentle, yet there was a hint of subtle coldness somewhere, very similar to Bai Ruxu. That person strode over, gently taking the luggage for Bai Ruxu. I came to the airport right after the meeting. Luckily I wasn't late. Bai Ruxu looked at the woman, showing a childish playfulness, then nodded slightly. Looking at the similar faces and temperaments of the two, I thought she was Bai Ruxu's mother. So I also nodded and greeted her with peace of mind. Then led Xiao Yu to say goodbye to Bai Ruxu. Your family is here to pick you up. Say goodbye to sister son. Xiao Yu pursed his lips. His eyes showed clear reluctance to part. He stared at Bai Ruxu for a long time before finally saying, Goodbye, sister. Bai Ruxu hesitated for a moment, and took out the notebook she had been drawing in on the plane from her backpack, tore out 2 pages and handed them to Xiao Yu. After that she turned to the woman beside her, made a few hand signs, asking her to speak for her. The woman nodded slightly and said with a smile, This is the drawing Ruxu made of you and Xiao Yu. She looked at the woman beside her again, signaled it in sign language, asking her to repeat. The woman nodded. This is the drawing Ruxu made of you and Xiao Yu. Thank you for your help throughout the journey. I nodded. I looked at the drawing in Xiao Yu's hand. Even though it was just a few simple strokes, it vividly captured the essence of Xiao Yu and me. The lines were so gentle, I could see that the little boy was in a very good mood. I happily accepted it, and expressed my thanks. I will treasure it very carefully. Only then did Bai Ruxu nod. Then she made a few more hand signs. She looked toward the woman. Ruxu. She wants to ask for your contact information. I wonder if that would be okay. Of course it is. I nodded. I've just arrived here and it's rare to see Xiao Yu grows so fond of a friend like this. Of course I didn't want my son to lose such a good friend. I was about to look for a pen and paper to write down my name and phone number. The woman handed me her phone. Ruxu lives with me. You can just save it in my phone. I nodded in agreement. After saving it I paused for a moment. Miss Base number. The woman smiled slightly at my formal way of addressing her. She gave a soft smile. The sense of distance suddenly vanished. It made her feel as gentle and precious as a rare gem. You're being too formal. You can just call me Bai Ningbing. I looked at the business card she handed me. The description under her name left me stunned. Are you the Bai Ningbing who graduated from Harvard Medical School? She nodded, seeing my look of utter astonishment. She looked a bit surprised herself. Is something wrong? I smiled. I felt like everything was such an incredible coincidence. I'm actually a new student at that medical school. The two of us looked at each other and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Then this really must be fate. Bai Ningbing. Her eyes crinkled. The coldness in her gaze disappeared completely like a spring breeze chasing away the rain. She took the initiative to ask, Where are you two going? Let me give you a ride. Hearing that, Bai Ruxu raised an eyebrow. Thoughtful look crossed her eyes. I was afraid of being a burden. I was about to wave my hand in refusal when Xiao Yu grabbed onto the hem of my shirt. His sparkling eyes blinked, looking at me pitifully. I still want to stay and play with Sister Ruxu a bit longer. I immediately felt embarrassed. I was about to say something, but Bai Ruxu had already led Xiao Yu away, blocking my words of refusal. Bai Ningbing smiled. She reached out to help pull my luggage. It's rare for me to see Ruxu be so proactive. Let's go. Consider it a thank you for helping to look after Ruxu. I had no choice but to agree. Looking at the orange-tinted sky outside the airport, the exhaustion of the trip seemed to fade away somewhat. The start of a new life wasn't so bad after all. By the time we got home and settled in, night had already fallen. I was still thinking about today's strange experience. When Zhao Yu tugged at him sleepy. On the way home I deliberately let him play. Let him burn off all his energy. To avoid jet lag. Sure enough, as soon as he finished eating he said he was sleepy. Now he can't even keep his eyes open. I quickly took him to wash his face. Then I made the bed, and let him lie down to sleep. Before drifting off, the boy still tried to resist sleep, and asked me, "Daddy, when can I go find Sister Rukshu to play again?" I was stunned for a moment. Tomorrow I'll message Sister Rukshu to ask when you two can play together, okay? Only then did Xiao Yu nod reassured, and then he fell fast asleep. I was left alone watching his peaceful sleeping face, and gave a soft sigh. In my heart I truly felt very unsettled. Taking Xiao Yu away from the environment had lived in for 5 years. To come to a completely strange city like this, could he really adapt to it? Would he feel alienated and stressed? But looking at him throughout the trip, even though he was a bit tired, he never showed any signs of impatience or fear. He even took the initiative to make a new friend. My anxious heart finally relaxed just a little bit. I gently pulled the blanket back over Xiao Yu. "Don't worry, Xiao Yu. Daddy will definitely take very good care of you." While I was lost in thought, my phone suddenly lit up. It was a call from Liu Ruyan. Only 2 days had passed, but now seeing this name, it felt like it was from a century ago. It felt a bit foreign. My heart sank. I decisively hung up, and then I blacklisted her. Having decided to make a clean break from the past, I shouldn't let her disturb my mind any longer. The following days passed as calmly and peacefully as flowing water. Xiao Yu and I lived in the small house my parents bought when they had once traveled to America. Although the furniture was a bit old, it was convenient. Very close to the school where I studied, and also very close to Bai Ningbing's house, just 2 blocks away. Since that parting at the airport, because of the close relationship between the two children, we also interacted with each other more frequently. I was very worried about Xiao Yu language issues. Even though he attended a bilingual kindergarten back home, I still had some concerns that he wouldn't be able to integrate. It was Bai Ningbing who proactively suggested Xiao Yu come to her house to study. It was also from then that I learned that Bai Rukshu wasn't born unable to speak, but it was due to psychological trauma, so she refused to speak for a long time. Bai Ningbing said it was rare to see Rukshu like being close to someone like that, so just let Xiao Yu come and learn English with her. As long as Xiao Yu came to play with Rukshu more often, of course I had no reason to refuse. I'd been enrolled in school for half a month, busy from dawn until dusk every single day. Without Bai Ningbing I wouldn't have known how to manage caring for Xiao Yu. Sometimes when I even came home late, Bai Ningbing would even bring Xiao Yu to wait for me at the base of the lecture hall. Like right now, I just finished class, stepped out of the lecture hall, and a little bean of a boy rushed over to hug my leg. "Daddy." Xiao Yu seems to have grown a little bit, has even wearing a fluffy fur hat, with 2 cute little puppy ears. He looks just like a little Samoyed puppy. If he had a tail too, he'd probably wag it so much he'd fly away. "I'm here to pick you up. Daddy's out of class." I looked at the eyes sparkling with excitement of my son. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. "You've been clinging to Auntie Bai again, haven't you?" Xiao Yu's eyes were mischievous. He chuckled, then said coquettishly, "Auntie Bai said it's fine. So that's why I came." I gently pinched the tip of his nose, then turned to look at Bai Ningbing standing nearby. "I'm troubling you too much, Professor Bai." Bai Ningbing's eyes crinkled gently. She smiled and shook her head to signal. "It's nothing at all." She only said, "Let's go home. We can pick up Rukshu after school on the way." I nodded. I took Xiao Yu's hand and walked side by side with her. "I've already bought the beef. That borscht soup I made last time. Rukshu really loved it. I'll make it again today, okay?" Xiao Yu interrupted. "What about me?" "What about me? I want to eat egg tarts." Bai Ningbing patted the little boy's head. "Auntie already bought them. I'll bake them for you when we get home, okay?" Xiao Yu cheered and jumped for joy. Looking at Xiao Yu's lively appearance, I smiled from the bottom of my heart. Leaving that suffocating atmosphere back home, Xiao Yu had become so much more joyful and radiant. I felt a strange warmth in my heart. I felt that these days were truly happy. Then suddenly I heard a low call familiar to the very marrow of my bones. "Fuang Vien." I didn't expect that when I met Liu Ruyan again, it would be in a situation like this. Liu Ruyan was standing in the distance. She looked visibly thinner, like a cold patch of snow in the middle of winter, suddenly drifting into my life without warning. I was stunned for a long time before I came to my senses. Instinctively I looked down at Xiao Yu. His smile from a moment ago had frozen. His fair little face was now pale. Xiao Yu's clenched hands reminded me that he was very afraid. My heart sank. A look of annoyance crossed my eyes as I looked at Liu Ruyan. "What are you doing here? The divorce is already done. You and He Chuan can be together in peace now. Why do you keep showing up in front of me? And you didn't even bother to say a word. You scared Xiao Yu." Liu Ruyan heard my questioning words, but she didn't react at all. It wasn't that she didn't react, but her entire attention was captured by me and Bai Ningbing standing next to me. "You came without saying a single word. To this distant America. Am I not allowed to come find you? Liu Ruian's hand hidden in her sleeve was clenching tightly. Her gloomy gaze fell upon Bai Ningbing, refusing to look away. Wave only just divorced. And you've already rushed to find a new mother for Xiao Yu. Or did you demand a divorce from me? Because of this woman. The fact that I brought Xiao Yu to America. And yet she didn't know. Liu Ruian's heart was filled with angry thoughts. I only found her words to be ridiculous and irrational. We are divorced. Where I go no longer has anything to do with you. After speaking, I picked up Xiao Yu intending to leave. Bai Ningbing also followed quietly behind, leaving there together with the father and son. But Liu Ruian reached out to hold me back. The word divorce seemed to have touched a forbidden zone for her. Her calm exterior could no longer be maintained. Her voice began to choke up. I never agreed to the divorce. It was because of you. She didn't finish her sentence. I interrupted her without any hesitation. The agreement is signed. The divorce papers have been received. Whether you agree or not no longer matters. Liu Ruian's heart trembled. She found it hard to believe. The tolerant husband from before. Why had he become so cold and heartless now? I didn't care at all about what she thought. I was about to shake off her hand. But Liu Ruian used all her strength to hold on. Since I was carrying my son, I could easily use much force. For a moment I couldn't break free. Let me go. Started to feel angry. I felt Xiao Yu trembling in fear in my arms. I was desperate to find a safe place to reassure my son. However, Liu Ruian adamantly refused to let go. Her gaze was dark. Her hand gripped me like an iron pincer. I have something to say to you. Liu Ruian only got halfway through her sentence when Xiao Yu lunged forward and bit her wrist hard. The boy bit without any mercy. Caught off guard, Liu Ruian cried out in pain involuntarily and hurriedly let go. A row of red teeth marks was left on her wrist. Let go of my daddy. I didn't know if it was out of anger or fear, but his small body trembled violently in my arms. His eyes were rimmed with red. He stared intensely at Liu Ruian, tears on the verge of falling. You wouldn't let me call you mother. And you even wanted to find a new daddy. Making my daddy so miserable. You don't deserve to be my mother. The innocent childish voice rang out, leaving both me and Liu Ruian stunned. I thought I had hidden my pain very well. Who knew Xiao Yu was so sensitive? It turns out he had been remembering it all along. My heart felt both bitter and comforted. I hurriedly hugged Xiao Yu tightly, gently patting him on the back. It's okay, good boy, Xiao Yu, don't cry. Liu Ruian was filled with astonishment. What new daddy? The next second, Liu Ruian immediately realized. She feared that encounter with He Chuang had caused a misunderstanding. Liu Ruian frowned. Ignoring the wound on her wrist for now, she was about to offer an explanation, but I threw her a cold glare. Liu Ruian, I don't want to see you ever again. Saying that, I carried Xiao Yu straight away. Liu Ruian still intended to chase after us, but was blocked by a hand. An icy voice rang out. Miss Liu. Fuang Vian already said it. He doesn't want to see you. Liu Ruian's heart felt heavy. She whipped around to look at the woman who was smiling gently a moment ago, but whose eyes behind her glasses were now full of cold light. That is my husband and my son. You have no right to stop me. Hearing this, Bai Ningbing raised an eyebrow. She gave a half smile. If I'm not mistaken, the two of you are already divorced. Furthermore, her smile didn't reach her eyes. In her eyes was still an extreme coldness, just like the words she uttered. Xiao Yu said it himself. That you don't deserve to be his mother. Bai Ningbing intentionally repeated it maliciously, like a sharp blade unhesitatingly stabbing straight into the softest part of her heart. Pain and anger spread simultaneously. Liu Ruian immediately gritted her teeth. Who on earth are you? What gives you the right to interfere in my business? These words were hissed through her teeth, containing boundless resentment. But Bai Ningbing didn't seem to care about her impending outburst. She continued to pour fuel on the fire. I'm not interfering in your business. She spoke softly, her eyes following me as I carried Xiao Yu away. The rest didn't need to be said. Liu Ruian understood perfectly that she was doing it for me. Liu Ruian's heart grew even heavier. She intended to say something more. But Bai Ningbing only gave her a glance and left her with one sentence. Miss Liu, you'd better go home. With that, she strode after me, leaving only Liu Ruian standing there, watching the two of us walk away. Her heart filled with resentment and sorrow, like ropes braided tightly together, tightening around her throat, until she couldn't breathe. That night, Liu Ruian's appearance today had terrified Xiao Yu. The boy clung to me insecurely. Normally his favorite thing was to hang around Bai Ruxu, asking her to draw or watch TV together, but now he wouldn't even speak, and insisted on going home with me very early. Xiao Yu was scared, wasn't he? Bai Ningbing showed a look of concern, watching Xiao Yu hugging me tightly, and not letting go. She didn't ask anything else. She just walked us to the door, and thoughtfully said, if you need any help, just let me know, I'm always ready. I gave a grateful smile, gave a soft nod, and went inside. Just as we walked through the door, I intended to set Xiao Yu down. intending to say a few words. But Xiao Yu wouldn't let me leave. He just gripped my shirt tightly, saying absolutely nothing, only knowing how to stare at me with his wide glistening eyes. That gaze was so clear and sincere. It seemed that in his entire heart and mind, there was only me at this moment. Looking at him made my heart melt. Every word I intended to say got stuck in my throat before that earnest gaze. I couldn't bring myself to speak. I looked at Xiao Yu's insecure appearance. Even until today, Liu Ruian's appearance still had too great an impact on me. I know Xiao Yu is a sensible and early maturing child. Even though he knew early on that I was unhappy because of Liu Ruian, he always suppressed it, refusing to speak out. As long as he saw me happy, the boy was willing to endure any grievance. Realizing this, a sense of heartache rose within me. Above all, it was my fault. For making Xiao Yu suffer so much disadvantage at such a young age, I was filled with regret. I couldn't help but let out a soft sigh. I asked in a low voice, Xiao Yu, you don't like her, do you? I didn't name her specifically, but Xiao Yu understood instinctively. The child buried his chubby soft face into the crook of my neck. His eyelashes trembled slightly, then quietly drooped. I don't. Is it because she wouldn't let you call her mother? I gently asked Xiao Yu. His small body shuddered, his voice trembled, his arms hugged me even tighter. She's here. Then I have to go. I don't want to leave you, Daddy. Hearing Xiao Yu's words, I was dazed for a moment. I never mentioned sending him away in front of Xiao Yu. Why did he think that? Just as I was about to ask, Xiao Yu trembled even more violently. His words were tinged with sobbing. My friend Duong said, after parents' divorce, you have to take turns living in 2 houses. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to be away from you, Daddy. Feeling the trembling of the little one in my arms, I hurriedly hugged him tight and comforted him. That's not going to happen. Xiao Yu won't have to go anywhere. That choked-up cry was like an arrow piercing my heart. It felt both bitter and incredibly awkward. A bitter taste spread throughout my soul. So that's what Xiao Yu was afraid of. I felt a dampness on my neck. I pulled back a little, wiping away the sparkling tears on his face. My warm hand carried a sense of comfort, gently placed on Xiao Yu's back. Then stroke by stroke I gently caressed him. Daddy will never let her take you away. My voice was firm, like a high mountain that nothing can move. My words weren't just simple comfort, but also like a solemn promise. Xiao Yu will always be by Daddy's side. My gentle voice echoed throughout the room, stopping Xiao Yu's tears, and also soothing my own heart. I gently wiped away the remaining tears on his face. In my eyes now was only determination. The next afternoon, I finished class very early, entrusting Xiao Yu to Bai Ningbing's care. Then I called Liu Ruian after unblocking her. You have some time. I want to talk to you. So under the park's blue sky, white silk-like clouds drifted lazily. The pigeons in the square cooed softly, occasionally flapping their wings and soaring into the air. On the nearby grass, withered yellow leaves covered the ground. Warmed by the sun, they emitted a fragrance. Everything painted a beautiful autumn picture. If only one could ignore me, and Liu Ruian sitting on that roadside bench. The two of us sat there. There had always been a certain distance between us. Like all these years, the chasm between us had never been filled. Impossible to erase. The autumn wind swept up the dry leaves, spinning them once between us, then falling back into silence. Both of us spoke at the same time, then fell silent at the same time, glancing at each other. Then both of us simultaneously looked away. I caught a glimpse of gauze peeking from her sleeve. I slightly pursed my lips, then uttered one word. Sorry. Xiao Yu's teeth were indeed very strong. That day I only had time for a quick glance, but the bite marks were clearly visible. It was truly startling. Perhaps Liu Ruian was following my gaze now. She looked down at her wrist, then withdrew her hand back into her sleeve, and said, It's okay. Hesitating for a moment, she added, Xiao Yu has a grievance in his heart. It's fine to let him bite once to vent his anger. I understand. Hearing these words, looking at her indifferent bowed head, my emotions were truly mixed. On one hand, I was surprised that Liu Ruian had suddenly become so reasonable, suddenly offering an explanation. But on the other hand, my heart grew even colder. Liu Ruian indeed had no idea why Xiao Yu bit her. It wasn't because of anger. Xiao Yu bit you because he was afraid. I saw the doubt clearly reflected in Liu Ruian's eyes. The boy is terrified that you'll take him away, is afraid of having to live with a new father, afraid that he will never see me again. I explained everything to him clearly, but my words only made Liu Ruian furrow her brows. What new father? Liu Ruian's gaze darkened instantly. Xia Qiang and I are just colleagues. That time he was merely staying over as a guest. He moved out a long time ago, before she could finish her sentence. My cold laughter cut her off mid-sentence. Liu Ruian, I am not the one being intimidated here. You've harbored feelings for him all these years. Do you really think I was blind to it? My voice was thick with suppressed rage. As I spat those words out, I felt a surge of unease. I clenched my fists tightly. Only then did I slowly regain my composure. You married me in total secrecy. You forced Xiao Yu to call you auntie in public. Wasn't that all just to maintain your single image? Weren't you just waiting for him to return so you could chase him again? You even helped him rent a house and tended to his plants. You shared nuptial wine with him. You took the initiative to bring him into the operating room with you, and you even let him stay inside our home. The more I spoke, the more eerily calm my voice became. I looked directly at Liu Ruyan. My words were bone-chillingly cold, and then I asked her, "Can you honestly say you had no selfish intentions in all of this?" Liu Ruyan's brows had been knitted for a while now. Now they furrowed even tighter. When she met my icy distant gaze, she felt that those calm matter-of-fact statements were like sharp swords of condemnation piercing through her. She instinctively wanted to offer an explanation, but the words died in her throat, leaving her breathless. Liu Ruyan found it impossible to say without a shred of shame that she truly had no hidden feelings for him. After all, she really did love him once upon a time, and his departure had left her devastated for a very long time, but upon seeing him again those old feelings had vanished. Now Liu Ruyan's heart was occupied only by me. She yearned for the old me, gentle, passionate, and attentive. How I used to wait for her to come home. How I'd quietly prepare meals for her. How I'd help iron her clothes. How I'd remind her to take her vitamins on schedule. All those acts of devotion made her heart, once cold from that drunken night's resentment, feel warm again. She realized she had become far too reliant on my presence. If she only had a little more time she could. Liu Ruyan looked at me, pausing for a beat, before finally speaking. It's true I cared for him a bit more than others, but that was only because he was an old classmate. I absolutely had no other intentions toward him. Everything is in the past now. I know the depth of your feelings for me. Why can't you just wait a little longer? Give me just a little more time. I will be able to love you back. Liu Ruyan had never felt such a sense of urgency. She desperately wanted to convey her feelings. She wanted me to understand her heart. But as her words faded away, only the lonely autumn wind swept past. Yellow leaves swirled through the hollow space between us. I observed the furrowed brow and the visible confusion in Liu Ruyan's eyes. A sudden sense of absurdity washed over me. Had it been before hearing Liu Ruyan apologize and express her love, my heart would have undoubtedly wavered. But now there wasn't even the slightest ripple. It was like watching a staged monologue from behind a screen. It failed to stir even a single emotion within me. Only one nagging question remained. On what grounds should I be expected to wait for you? I looked at the woman who was always as frigid as Liu Ruyan, now wearing an expression of pure shock and disbelief. I flashed a smile as radiant as the morning sun. I have already squandered 5 years of my life on you. Why on earth should I wait for you any longer? Liu Ruyan's heart skipped a beat in fear. She was used to being the one in control of our relationship, accustomed to her superior, untouchable stance, thinking that no matter what she did to me, I would always be there to accept it all willingly. But she forgot that even I have a breaking point. Liu Ruyan. I stood up and looked down at her, looking at Liu Ruyan's utterly defeated face. Our roles seemed to have completely reversed in this instant. The one who was now yearning for a tiny bit of warmth and affection was Liu Ruyan. Her heart grew heavy with a sudden weight. It felt as though everything had slipped from her grasp, leaving her feeling insecure and utterly helpless. In the next moment she only heard me say, "Your response has come far too late. I no longer have any need for your feelings." Those words were like an immediate death sentence. Liu Ruyan's eyes trembled with shock. She scrambled to her feet, trying to grab my hand, but before she could even brush against my clothes, I had already taken a step back. The chasm between us widened even further, like a canyon 10,000 miles wide. Liu Ruyan couldn't find the strength to bridge it. "Let's stop here, Liu Ruyan." I handed down my final judgment. "This is the best possible ending for both of us." Liu Ruyan still looked as if she had more to say, but without a moment's hesitation I turned and walked away. Panic-stricken, she called out my name with a tremble. "Fang Yuan, you can't do this to me." Seeing me pause, she finally seemed to regain some clarity, thinking of the fact that Xiao Yu was her child too, that the boy couldn't grow up without a mother. As soon as those words left her mouth, I looked her straight in the eye. My gaze was laced with cold mockery and disdain. It felt like a block of ice pressing against Liu Ruyan's heart. She was so mortified she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Indeed, what right did she have to speak like that? Resenting me, forbidding Xiao Yu from calling her mother. It was she who had done all of that. Now overwhelming guilt and regret flooded her chest. The sun had long since hidden behind the thick clouds. The autumn breeze blew in, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. Dry leaves rustled as they fell to the ground, as if mocking Liu Ruyan's tragically late realization. She stared at me in a daze. As if all her strength had been sapped, she stumbled, barely able to remain upright. I could see the profound remorse shining in her eyes. The feeling in my own heart was hard to name. I just stood there for a brief moment. "I will no longer keep your number blocked. If you ever want to see Xiao Yu, then just give me a call. As long as Xiao Yu is willing. I won't prevent the two of you from meeting. Consider this the final shred of kindness I'll ever show you." After I finished my piece, my gaze lingered on Liu Ruyan's frozen features. It was a look of pure scrutiny, void of any lingering affection. I was looking at a different version of her through her current self. I was searching for the Liu Ruyan from our university days. The woman who had completely captivated me back then. the one for whom I moved heaven and earth just to be near. A Lu Ruyan I had been willing to lose myself for. But she was long gone. Deep within those icy eyes, I only saw the reflection of my own past self. A sudden realization dawned on me. I let out a laugh filled with pure relief, and then I turned and walked away without a hint of regret. Lu Ruyan had always been this indifferent, and tragically slow to understand. Even if she were willing to accept me now, it would only be due to a habit that had become part of her. I once loved her with a reckless, all-consuming passion, always making her my ultimate destination. But all those frantic efforts were merely my own self-created illusions. I did not look back, not even once. I simply felt the quiet autumn wind blowing through my heart. I felt an incredible sense of weightlessness. Everything has finally reached its end. The tangled emotions from my youth until now have completely vanished into the autumn air. By the time I reached Bai Ningbing's house, the sky was already pitch black. Sorry I'm a bit late. I smiled apologetically at Bai Ningbing as she opened the door carrying a sleeping Xiao Yu. I offered her a very apologetic smile. She shook her head gently. Her smile was incredibly soft. It's really no trouble at all. I voiced my thanks. I was just about to take Xiao Yu from her when I saw his little hand gripping Bai Ningbing's collar tightly. I felt a bit awkward. I was about to wake the boy up so that he would let go. But Bai Ningbing thoughtfully held me back. He finally managed to fall into a deep sleep. He'll wake up the moment you touch him. Just let him sleep here tonight. I hesitated for a brief second, then nodded in agreement. Due to Liu Ruyan's unexpected visit, Xiao Yu hadn't slept well at all the previous night. He hadn't just refused to let go of my hand, but he had also been frowning throughout his sleep. It was for the best that he could now sleep soundly in Bai Ningbing's arms. I looked at Xiao Wu's peaceful, innocent face as he slept in her embrace, and let out a quiet sigh. Bai Ningbing noticed that the shadow of worry on my face had lifted, replaced by a look of sheer relief. She guessed that everything had finally been resolved. I nodded. Everything has been made perfectly clear. My hand gently caressed Xiao Wu's head. My voice was slow and steady. Xiao Yu and I will always be together. We will never be parted again. Bai Ningbing gave a small nod at my words. You should stay the night here. If Xiao Yu wakes up and doesn't see you, he'll be so anxious. She spoke, her gentle gaze lingering on the boy, bathed in the warm yellow light from the wall lamp. She radiated a very soft and calming aura. She looked exactly like a kind, devoted mother, exactly as Bai Ningbing had foreseen. Xiao Yu woke up several times throughout the night. He felt a surge of fear waking up in a strange place. But when he saw me sleeping right beside him, he immediately felt at ease. Then he snuggled back into my arms and drifted off again. Waking up in the early morning, I found Xiao Yu already awake and lying in my embrace. That tiny little body of his was sprawled across me, pinning down my arm, sleeping as peacefully as a newborn babe. I could only manage a wry smile. I planned to let him sleep a little longer, but my arm had gone completely numb, so I had to get up. By the time I finished getting ready and stepped out, Bai Ningbing was already awake as well. Good morning. Bai Ningbing poured a glass of milk for me. While I massaged my sore arm, I smiled back at her. Good morning. The milk is still quite warm. It made me daze for a brief moment. I've lived in America so long I almost forgot what it's like not to drink iced water. I said in a playful tone. I lifted the glass. Taking a sip, the warmth of the milk spread through me. It felt like all the exhaustion was being washed away. Hearing my comment, Bai Ningbing simply gave a soft smile. Her gaze drifted to my other arm. Is your arm bothering you? She adjusted her glasses and asked with genuine concern. I was surprised by how incredibly observant she was, so I didn't try to hide it. I gave a slight nod. It's just a bit numb from being slept on all night. I answered her casually, acting as if it were no big deal. I haven't exercised in a while. The numbness is just because the blood wasn't flowing right. It'll be back to normal if I just give it a moment. With that thought, I set my glass down, intending to go to the kitchen to make breakfast for the kids. But as I turned to leave, Bai Ningbing caught my wrist. I looked back at her completely puzzled. What's wrong? Bai Ningbing didn't say a word. She just looked me in the eyes, then placed her fingertips gently against my arm. Her fingertips felt slightly cool against my skin. It seemed as if she was only giving me a light massage, but every press hit the exact spot that was numb and aching. My instinct was to pull away from her, but she was quick to hold me steady. Her voice was soft and gentle, yet it carried an undeniable authority. Don't move. We were standing incredibly close. Her quiet command felt like it was whispered right into my ear. I was momentarily frozen. My entire body felt as if it had been put on hold, paralyzed right where I stood. I was about to say something else, when Bai Ningbing applied more pressure. A little massage will help the blood circulate much better. I watched her as she focused intently on my arm. She looked as serious as if she were performing a complex experiment. I could only follow her lead in silence. The prickly pins and needles sensation slowly faded away. I could feel every single movement of Bai Ningbing's hands. Her cool fingertips pressed into the pressure points along my arm, while her warm palms periodically pressed against my skin to knead the muscles. This technique certainly got the blood moving again. I could argue with the results. Otherwise I'd have no way to explain why the tips of my ears were suddenly burning red. Seeing how focused Bai Ningbing was, I felt I had to speak up to break the tension. Okay, I'm all good now. Bai Ningbing gave a nod and released her hold on me, but she didn't forget to offer a warning. Next time don't let Xiaoyu use your arm as a pillow all night. If your arm goes completely numb, it'll be incredibly painful. I looked down and nodded. The two of us were about to head to the kitchen for the kids' breakfast. Just as I glanced toward the living area, I saw Bai Ruxu standing right across from us, framed by her bright blonde hair. Her eyes were as still and expressionless as paper. She was just staring intently at the both of us. I had no idea how long she had been watching. For some reason a wave of awkwardness hit me, even though we hadn't done anything improper. But Bai Ningbing and I had definitely been standing very close. I was worried Bai Ruxu might get the wrong idea. My instinct was to try and explain ourselves, but Bai Ningbing spoke up before I could. Ruxu, go wake Xiaoyu up for me, okay? Bai Ruxu's face remained as calm and unreadable as ever. The little girl simply nodded and made her way toward the living room. I still felt a lingering sense of unease. I turned to look at Bai Ningbing. Shouldn't we explain things to Ruxu? I'm afraid she might misunderstand. You know, Bai Ningbing didn't seem to follow. I started to feel a bit frantic. She saw her mother standing so close to a man. What if she starts imagining things? The moment the words left my lips, Bai Ningbing suddenly frowned, something I rarely saw her do. She looked completely bewildered. When did I ever say I was Ruxu's mother? It wasn't until breakfast was long finished that I finally snapped out of my absolute shock. It turned out Bai Ningbing was actually Bai Ruxu's aunt. The reason Bai Ruxu refused to speak was because she had witnessed her parents and brother die in a fire. The girl was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and had been unable to speak ever since. Everything finally clicked for me. Even though we'd known each other for a while, I had never explicitly asked about their relationship. I had just assumed they were mother and daughter. I even felt a deep sympathy for her, thinking she was a struggling single mother. So I had carefully avoided ever mentioning her husband. As it turned out, I had just been living in my own imagination. Thinking back on it, I realized how incredibly foolish I had been. I couldn't help but let out a small chuckle. Right now I was walking back home. Bai Ningbing was taking Bai Ruxu to her art lesson. Since we were going the same way, the four of us were walking together. Noticing my smile, she asked me curiously, "What are you smiling about?" I just shook my head, brushing aside my previous thoughts, and watched the two children skateboarding and playing ahead of us. I made a casual remark, "Look at them, they're having so much fun together." Bai Ruxu skated a few laps, then turned back to look at Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu's eyes were sparkling with eagerness. He followed her every move, then quickly ran to catch up with her. "I want to skate too. Teach me, sis." Bai Ruxu helped him find his balance on the board. Once he was standing steadily, she gave him a very gentle push, letting the skateboard glide forward on its own. Xiaoyu had no idea that she was the one moving him. He thought he was actually skating all by himself, and he began to clap and cheer with pure joy, finding the whole experience absolutely thrilling. Seeing them like that truly warmed my heart. Bai Ningbing's gaze followed mine. When she saw the vibrant energy in Bai Ruxu, her expression became incredibly tender. At her own brother's funeral, she had first met Bai Ruxu. Back then the girl was gaunt and completely withdrawn. She had seemed like a hollow, lifeless shell. She had just stared blankly as people passed her by. Her face showed absolutely no sign of emotion. She had asked Ruxu if she wanted to go to America with her. It had taken a long time for the girl to even react. She had only given a slight shake of her head. That was the first moment Bai Ningbing saw any change in her. A flicker of emotion during that somber funeral. That child with the empty expression had looked up at the portrait on the altar, and tears had begun to fall silently and uncontrollably. Bai Ningbing's heart had ached for her. She let out a quiet sigh, and reached out to wipe the tears from the girl's cheeks. She knew Ruxu's heart was still too heavy, so she hadn't forced the girl to leave right away. Instead she let paternal relatives look after her for a while. No matter how swamped she was with work, she had flown back every single month to visit. Until this past month, because the relatives' family had just welcomed twins, they no longer had the capacity to care for her. Bai Ningbing immediately arranged for Ruxu to come to America. But since she couldn't make the trip herself, and the relatives couldn't accompany the girl either, and she didn't want to over-rely on anyone else, the little girl had to travel as an unaccompanied minor. And by some miracle she ended up on the same flight as Xiaoyu and me. Bai Ningbing watched Ruxu playing so happily with Xiaoyu. A faint smile graced her lips. She had been so afraid that Ruxu would have no one to play with, and would be lonely living with someone as isolated as her. But now those fears had finally been laid to rest. She pulled herself back from her reflections, and noticed the two children had finished their play. "We're at my house now." Bai Ruxu. Clutching her skateboard with one hand, she waved goodbye to Xiaoyu with the other. Bai Ningbing also bid me farewell. Xiaoyu and I had only just stepped inside our home. Before we could even take our coats off, there was a sudden knock at the door. Xiao Yu immediately dashed toward the door. It must be Sis Rukshu. She misses me already. I'll get it, let me get it. Seeing how excited he was, I couldn't help but find it amusing. I quickly stopped him. You two just saw each other a minute ago. What's gotten into you? Go wash your hands, son. Let me handle the door. To my utter shock, I opened the door to find Liu Ruyan standing there. She was still dressed in the same clothes as before, with a suitcase sitting right beside her. In preparing to go back home now, I was completely caught off guard, and my brow immediately darkened. Didn't I tell you to give me some warning before showing up? I didn't even want to think about what would have happened if Xiao Yu had opened that door. The sheer terror the boy would have felt seeing Liu Ruyan so suddenly. I kept my eyes on her as I called out to the boy inside. Him just stepping out for a moment to get a package. With that I stepped out onto the porch, leaving the house, and making sure to pull the door shut behind me. Liu Ruyan took in my look of cold disapproval. Her hand tightened on the suitcase handle, then went limp. Her heart was a chaotic mess of feelings. Was her own flesh and blood really this terrified of her? Liu Ruyan felt a violent shiver in her soul. She struggled to swallow the bitter lump in her throat. I'm sorry, I was just passing by on my way to the airport, so I decided to stop by and say my goodbyes to you. I promise I will let you know ahead of time next time. I couldn't believe such humble words were coming from Liu Ruyan. I stood there observing the woman in front of me. That once unshakable icy arrogance of hers seemed to have been shattered into a million pieces. She looked utterly, profoundly exhausted. I was briefly taken aback by the change, but then I indifferently pulled my gaze away. I gave her a curt, simple nod. All right. I wish you a safe journey back, wherever Liu Ruyan, when it no longer had any impact on my life. With that I prepared to head back inside. Liu Ruyan watched my cold final movements. Her heart felt like it was being sliced by 1,000 knives. I had already spelled everything out so clearly for her, that there wasn't a single spark of love left for her in me, and yet she still felt the need to come here for a goodbye. What on earth was she still hoping for? Liu Ruyan wondered the same thing herself, but as she watched me walk away, she couldn't stop herself from asking one last question. In the future, will you ever come back home? I froze in my tracks, then turned my head to look at her one last time. I saw the desperate hope shining in her eyes, and I found myself giving a slight nod. I will. After all, I'm just a stranger in this land. I'll definitely return to my roots to live eventually. Liu Ruyan, her eyes suddenly blazed with light, as if a tiny spark of hope had just been rekindled. She bit her lip hard, clearly wanting to say more to me. But I immediately snuffed out that hope. Even if I go back, I'm not sure I'll ever return to Jiangcheng. Liu Ruyan stood there completely stunned. Her eyes darkened once again. Yet that small flame of hope refused to die completely. She only whispered softly, "Anywhere is fine. As long as you're there, I will wait for you to come back." I listened to her words, my brows furrowing slightly. I intended to say something more, but then I heard Xiao Wu's voice calling from inside. "Daddy, what did you buy?" I had to suppress the urge to speak, and decisively closed the door. Liu Ruyan watched the door close, without a hint of mercy, but instead of exhaustion her face lit up, a spark of hope flickering in her eyes. As long as I return to the country, she still has a chance. Behind the door I was unaware of her mood, simply spreading my hands open. As I looked at Xiao Yu and said Daddy didn't buy anything, the delivery person just knocked on the wrong door. Hearing this, Xiao Wu's small face crumpled. I thought the Lego set had arrived. I was planning to build it with Sister Rukshu tonight. Seeing his aggrieved and regretful expression, I found him truly adorable. Well, build the Lego when it arrives tomorrow. Tonight let's go on the Ferris wheel with Sister Rukshu. How does that sound? It's the new Ferris wheel built nearby. And there's even a fireworks show at night. Xiao Yu had been pestering me to go for a long time, so he immediately nodded vigorously. In the evening by Ningbing, and I looked at the brilliantly lit amusement park, the bustling crowds making us pause. I stared blankly at the endless line of people, waiting for the Ferris wheel inside. It's so crowded. I've lived here for nearly a month, and this is the first time I've seen this street so packed. I've never liked crowded places, especially the noise. Suddenly I felt a twinge of regret, thinking of bringing the two kids back another time. But Bai Ningbing held me back. Find the line. We'll move quickly. It'll be our turn in just a bit. I looked into her gentle eyes, and while I was still hesitating, Xiao Yu tugged at my shirt. Daddy, I really want to go. I knelt down and met two pairs of shimmering watery eyes, staring intently at me, filled with pure longing. I had no choice but to nod helplessly, letting out a sigh, as I agreed. All right then. Xiao Yu immediately beamed like a blooming flower, resting his small face in my palm, and nuzzling it affectionately. Daddy is the best. Seeing that I could only smile and gently pinch his chubby cheek. You're the only one who knows how to sweet-talk me. Bai Ningbing watched me under the dim yellow lights, with a serene smile, her eyes crystal clear. She couldn't help but smile, her eyes curving, and as if to hide her feelings, she lightly pushed up her glasses, only to meet Bai Rukshu's knowing gaze. Bai Ningbing was stunned for a moment, then saw the girl look toward me, then back at her. before giving a subtle nod, and nonchalantly looking away. It was as if she were approving of Bai Ningbing's taste. Bai Ningbing could only manage a wry smile, stroking Bai Rukshu's golden hair without a word. This little one even trying to manage my affairs now. The line moved very quickly, and in just half an hour, we were already boarding the Ferris wheel. The cabin slowly rose higher, with Xiao Yu and Bai Rukshu on one side, and Bai Ningbing and me sitting opposite them. It wasn't Xiao Wu's first time on a Ferris wheel, but it was the first time he'd seen Boston's night view. He pressed himself against the window, his eyes filled with wonder as he looked out. The night was deep and dark, the bright moonlight reflecting off the ground, coating everything in a layer of shimmering silver. Not far away, the bustling town was alight with vibrant colors, with skyscrapers standing close together, dazzling to the eyes. Xiao Yu looked on, unable to hide his amazement. Bai Rukshu also gazed into the distance, looking at the moon on the horizon with a pensive expression. Seeing the two children so delighted, I smiled, and turned to look at Bai Ningbing. But in an instant, I realized something was wrong. Bai Ningbing's lips were pale, her hands gripping the seatbelt at her waist tightly, though she still wore her usual gentle smile. Her body was slightly rigid. She was even intentionally avoiding looking out the side windows, staring straight ahead instead, as if we weren't in a Ferris wheel cabin, but balanced on a tightrope thousands of meters in the air. Are you afraid of heights? I moved closer to Bai Ningbing, whispering the question. Bai Ningbing quickly glanced at me, then lowered her head again, a little. Only then did it occur to me. No wonder Bai Ningbing had been so worried about Bai Rukshu, yet allowed her to fly alone. I couldn't help but blame myself. It's my fault. If I'd known you were this scared, I wouldn't have suggested coming. Bai Ningbing lightly pushed up her glasses, took a deep breath, and smiled gently. It's all right. I just underestimated this Ferris wheel, and was a bit overconfident in myself, she said as she breathed deeply to calm herself. But the next second a hand suddenly appeared before her eyes. I had taken off her glasses. If things are a bit blurry, do you feel any better? I leaned in close, leaving Bai Ningbing momentarily dazed. Hearing my question, she didn't answer. Seeing her face regain a bit of color, I thought the method was working and smiled. Just as I was about to guide her through some deep breaths, the cabin suddenly jolted violently, and came to a complete halt right at the peak. The four of us were stunned. Bai Ningbing gasped in fear, instinctively clutching my hand. Xiao Yu also cried out, "Daddy, it's pitch black down there. Did the power go out?" At those words, Bai Ningbing gripped my hand even tighter, so I immediately held her hand back, to reassure her. It's not that they are about to... Before I could finish, a streak of fire tore through the night sky, followed by a piercing whistle and an explosion outside the window. Fireworks. One after another, the sparks shot up and blossomed in the air, like radiant flowers blooming under the moonlight, possessing an enchanting beauty. Xiao Yu delightedly pressed his face against the glass, watching the fireworks unfold, his eyes full of excitement. He even pulled Bai Rukshu to clasp her hands and make a wish upon the fireworks. Wishes made under fireworks are the most likely to come true. Quick, let's do it together. Bai Rukshu looked at Xiao Wu's eager expression, hesitated for a moment, then closed her eyes as well. I don't know what she wished for, but when she opened her eyes, a flicker of profound regretful sadness crossed her gaze. I didn't have time to notice the two children's prayers, as I was busy caring for the patient by my side. I gripped Bai Ningbing's hand tightly, as if trying to give her comfort and strength, guiding her to breathe deeply, while pointing at the fireworks outside the window, to distract her. The fireworks are beautiful, aren't they? After speaking, I remembered I still had her glasses, so I quickly took them out, intending to put them back on her. Sorry, I forgot. I'm still holding your glasses. You probably can't see clearly, right? Let me put them on for you. I can see. Bai Ningbing stopped me, a slight playful smile on her lips. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, I'm not actually nearsighted. These glasses are just for blue light protection. As soon as she finished, my ears turned bright red instantly. I awkwardly bit my lip. And here I thought you were nearsighted. Bai Ningbing looked at my bashful state, and found it simply adorable, but fearing she might tease me too much, she quickly hid her smile and looked at me warmly. It's all right. Her voice was soft as a feather, her warm breath brushing against my neck. Having your comfort. It really helps. I was stunned, turning my head to look deep into her soulful eyes. Without the frames to shield them, I realized Bai Ningbing had incredibly captivating eyes. The corners tilted up slightly with a faint, almost invisible mole beneath. The vibrant fireworks in the sky were reflected in her eyes, like 10,000 shimmering stars. A beauty that could steal one's soul. I was nearly lost in her gaze, the sound of the fireworks fading into the distance. The world became so quiet that all I could hear was my own heart. Thump thump, one beat at a time, as if my chest were drumming against my eardrums, until Xiao Yu called out, Daddy, you and Auntie Bai should make a wish too. I snapped out of it then. And seeing my son's eager face, I hurriedly let go of her hand as if fleeing. Turning my face toward the fireworks outside the window, I instinctively closed my eyes. I don't know what I wished for. I only remember my head was full of Bai Ningbing's gentle eyes, and the sound of my heart pounding like thunder in my ears. It wasn't until the fireworks ended that I finally returned to normal. As the Ferris wheel slowly descended, Bai Ningbing's complexion improved significantly, and she no longer seemed as frightened. Only I was lost in some inexplicable thoughts, unable to bring myself to look her in the eye. A vague, awkward atmosphere hung between us. Perhaps I was the only one feeling shy, as Bai Ningbing remained perfectly composed. The group took the two kids to play nearby for a while longer, and since Xiao Yu had played so hard, he fell fast asleep in Bai Ningbing's lap on the way back. Bai Ruxu was also exhausted, silently following the two adults all the way home. The cool moonlight filtered through the leaves onto the road ahead. Streetlights illuminated the path home, and in the quiet night, the only sound was the rustling of footsteps on dry leaves. It was strangely silent, as if testing one's nerves. The stillness kept bringing back the scene on the Ferris wheel. I pursed my lips, and was about to say something, when Bai Ningbing spoke first. Christmas is coming soon. Do you want to go to Iceland to see the northern lights? I was momentarily stunned, looking at Bai Ningbing, with a gaze full of surprise and confusion. Why did you bring this up all of a sudden? You couldn't blame my astonishment. Anyone on their way back from a Ferris wheel ride, who suddenly heard a proposal for a trip next month, would be caught off guard. I looked into Bai Ningbing's eyes, my confusion apparent. Bai Ningbing also realized her suggestion was too sudden, giving an apologetic smile before saying, "It really just popped into my head." She looked at me under the yellow streetlights and moonlight, seeing those clear, bright eyes, which reminded her of the moments earlier on the Ferris wheel, where the brilliant fireworks not only reflected in my deep eyes, but also illuminated my face as I prayed so sincerely. My expression was partially hidden in the shadows of the night, making it hard for others to see through, showing only my deeply earnest clasped hands. In the next second, the fireworks suddenly burst, their vivid colors lighting up my face, like a person who had been colorblind. Seeing the world in full color for the first time, Bai Ningbing's eyes suddenly lit up, and her heart trembled slightly. She felt as if she had just seen the god of her life. Bai Ningbing lowered her gaze slightly, the corners of her eyes and ears flushing a shy red, her brows smoothed out, her holy aura making one dare not even dream of offending her. After getting off the wheel, noticing my lingering fascination, and the dazed look still on my face, she had thought about going to see the aurora. They say that for wishes made under the northern lights, the whole universe conspires to help you realize them. Bai Ningbing smiled, and looked at me. I figured you would love it there. Looking at her resolute smile, I finally couldn't help but smile back. After smiling, I nodded slightly. In truth, I've dreamed of seeing the northern lights for a long time. I recalled my parents after I got into college. They had resigned from the hospital to become Doctors Without Borders. On my 20th birthday, they sent home a video of the two of them singing happy birthday to me. Under the aurora borealis in Iceland, the silent night in the ice fields, the northern lights magnificent and ethereal, like the entire galaxy descending upon the earth. At that moment, the desire to see it with my own eyes was sparked, but later, due to the busyness of studies, having a young child, and always chasing Liu Ruian's footsteps while working on the front lines, I had never been able to fulfill that wish. Now receiving this invitation from Bai Ningbing, I hardly hesitated for a second, before immediately nodding in agreement. This Christmas holiday, let's take Xiao Yu and Ruxu to go see them. Bai Ningbing gave a very gentle smile at that. The night was still, and under the moonlight a warm feeling began to spread softly. Bai Ruxu glanced at the two of them, then turned her head away with a thoughtful expression. The autumn wind blew away the fallen leaves, and in a flash the snow began to fall. The Christmas holiday arrived as expected. Since Christmas and New Year's were so close together, the holidays were combined. There were 2 full weeks to explore Iceland to our heart's content. Watching Xiao Yu excitedly prepare for departure, I anxiously adjusted his clothes, while giving him another reminder: you must hold Sister Ruxu's hand very tightly. If you get lost or need help, look for staff in uniforms. Do you remember everything? I remember, Daddy. Xiao Yu nodded, looking at Bai Ruxu beside him, before declaring loudly, "Don't worry, Daddy. I'll be just as capable as Sister Ruxu. I'm not scared to fly by myself." I sighed softly, looking at the two children with a sense of helplessness. It was supposed to be a regular trip together, but Xiao Yu insisted on being like Bai Ruxu was before, wanting to take the flight on his own. No matter how much I coaxed him, he wouldn't agree to let the two adults accompany him, claiming, "I'm all grown up. I want to be as good as Sister Ruxu." After much persuasion, he only agreed to let Bai Ruxu go with him. Naturally, I couldn't be at ease, but looking at the determined eyes of the two children, I truly didn't know how to refuse. I had to book an earlier flight with Bai Ningbing. The two of us would fly first, leaving the two of them. On the very next flight, the announcement came over the intercom. notifying that my flight with Bai Ningbing was about to depart. I was about to give a few more instructions, when Bai Ruxu wrote a few words in my palm. I will take good care of Xiao Yu, don't worry. I looked into Bai Ruxu's calm but resolute eyes, feeling as if these words weren't just to reassure me, but also as if she wanted to make up for something. Seeming to realize something, I stopped the instructions, only patting the boy's head, as I replied gently, I trust you. Bai Ningbing also told Bai Ruxu, hold his hand tight. Don't get lost. After landing, we'll meet at the exit. She also tucked an asthma inhaler into the girl's pocket, saying that even though there hadn't been an attack in a while, it was best to keep it just in case. Bai Ruxu nodded, silently watching the two of us. I thought she was urging us to get on the plane quickly, so I prepared to leave with Bai Ningbing, only to see Bai Ruxu tilt her head at me, before making several hand signs to Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing was momentarily taken aback, giving a helpless soft laugh, patting the girl's head, and saying something in German. The sign language was a bit complex. I didn't quite understand it, but I heard the German sentence very clearly. It seemed to be an affectionate term for a mischievous child. While I was still wondering, the boarding call rang out again, urging us to board immediately. Xiao Yu also waved, go ahead, Daddy. I will definitely take good care of sister and myself. The boy, a full head shorter than Bai Ruxu, said those words with such confidence, making me unable to suppress a laugh. I lightly flicked his nose. Just focusing on taking care of yourself is enough. Trying to take care of sister too. You're not even half her age. Having said that, I felt a bit more at ease, said goodbye to the two children, and turned to walk through the departure gate. Once on the plane, I suddenly remembered the sign language Bai Ruxu had used, so I couldn't help but ask, Bai Ningbing, what did Ruxu say to you back there? Bai Ningbing looked into my clear, questioning eyes. I don't know what she was thinking, but the words she was about to say suddenly changed. She knows I'm afraid of heights, so she told you to take good care of me. My attention was immediately diverted, as I looked at her complexion, and asked worriedly, are you still okay right now? I had asked Bai Ningbing before departure, and she had only smiled and said, it would be fine as long as she wasn't by the window. Those words sounded vague, making me already suspicious, and now my nerves were even more on edge. My gaze was filled with nothing but concern for her. Bai Ningbing saw my frantic look, and her heart suddenly felt incredibly warm. She was about to say she was fine, but lightly pushed her glasses up, then looked up at me with a touch of vulnerability. I'm fine for now, but I'm a bit scared of when the plane takes off and lands. I immediately frowned. Takeoff and landing are when the sensation of weightlessness is strongest, which is exactly when those afraid of heights feel the most terrified. I hesitated for a moment, then took the initiative to move closer, as if I wanted to say something. Bai Ningbing calmly watched me lean in, then asked intentionally, are you planning to take off my glasses again? She gave me a playful scolding, her face clearly showing helplessness. No, it's just that I remembered that ridiculous incident on the wheel, and am feeling extremely embarrassed. So I gave her a look. So do you want my help to feel better or not? The words didn't sound angry at all, but rather more bashful. Bai Ningbing wasn't angry in the slightest, giving a slight nod. Yes, please guide me, doctor. Her voice was gentle, tinged with a subtle smile, making the tips of my ears flush red. But the plane began its taxi, so I hurriedly took out some noise-canceling earplugs. Use these, they'll help reduce the pressure in your ears. The plane sped down the runway faster and faster, and I spoke more quickly too. During takeoff, you can also tighten your abs and leg muscles to lessen that falling sensation. And if you're really uncomfortable, just keep talking to me to distract yourself. Before I could finish, my hand was gently but firmly grasped by Bai Ningbing's warm hand. Doing this is the most effective way. The plane soared into the sky, but my heart felt like it was in free fall. The plane landed at Keflavik Airport, and after Bai Ningbing and I had collected our luggage, we took out our down jackets to wear, and sat on a bench by the exit to wait for Xiao Yu and Bai Ruxu. Bai Ningbing watched me putting on my gloves, and asked curiously, aren't you hot? The air conditioning in the airport was turned up high, so warm that it could make one feel sleepy. Many foreign tourists were even wearing short sleeves. I pursed my lips, flashing an awkward smile, as I took the gloves back off. I don't know when I started wearing a deceitful mask in front of Bai Ningbing. Seeing how I bowed my head and avoided her gaze, she knew right away that I was lying. She just didn't expose it. She pretended not to notice at all. She simply gave a soft nod. It was true that I was lying. Feeling a bit awkward, I stared at my hands. Even though we had gotten off the plane a long time ago, the warmth from Bai Ningbing's hands still seemed to linger there. How wonderfully warm it felt. That faint, steady scent of perfume carrying the breath of flowers sent my heart into a sudden flutter. I stole a secret glance at Bai Ningbing. I saw that she still looked completely unbothered. I thought to myself that I was probably just being too suspicious. Right then Bai Ningbing turned to look back at me. I quickly averted my eyes immediately. A strange awkward silence fell between us. until the two children returned to join us. Daddy's sister Rukshu didn't have an asthma attack at all. I took very good care of her, didn't I? Xiaowu's eyes lit up as soon as he saw us. Before the boy could even reach us, his plea for praise had already reached our ears. I smiled and sat down. I took his small backpack from him and gave him the praise he wanted. Our Xiaoyu is really amazing. Then I gently patted Bai Rukshu's head. Rukshu was great too. It's wonderful how well you looked after your little brother. Bai Rukshu's eyes flickered slightly. She gave a shy little nod and then turned her face away. Xiaoyu was still excitedly talking non-stop. All the older sisters praised me and said I was very good. I nodded, watching the boy's lively manner. The heavy stone in my heart was finally lifted. It had been a long time since Xiaoyu was this happy. While I was lost in thought, I heard the guest house host arrive to pick us up. Let's go, everyone nodded in agreement. After changing, we all walked outside together. We were staying at a guest house about 30 kilometers from Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. The host was a native Icelander, possessing typical Nordic features. As soon as he saw us, he politely approached to greet us and helped us with our luggage. His English wasn't very fluent, but we could still manage to understand him. Knowing we were here to see the aurora and celebrate Christmas, he enthusiastically introduced his sister. Olivia is a highly experienced aurora hunter. She has led many people to see the northern lights. Bai Ningbing and I looked at each other, knowing that we had found the right person. Seeing the aurora depends heavily on luck. If we have an experienced guide leading the way, then things will surely go much more smoothly. I could hardly wait any longer to meet Olivia. While lost in thought, the host looked at us through the rearview mirror. In Iceland, there's a legend that lovers who watch the aurora together will be blessed. They will be happy for the rest of their lives. As soon as he finished speaking, I was suddenly taken aback. I awkwardly turned my face away, but I accidentally caught Bai Ningbing's smiling eyes. She raised an eyebrow slightly. In the darkness of the car's interior, only those eyes of hers shone with an extraordinary brilliance. That burning gaze seemed to pierce into the very depths of my heart. My heart suddenly trembled. Somehow I recalled the moments on the Ferris wheel and inside the plane. That feeling of fluttering excitement mixed with bashfulness surged up in my heart once again. I almost wanted to run away, hurriedly turning my gaze aside. I lightly bit my lip, just as I was about to speak and explain. Bai Ningbing spoke up first. That really is a very romantic legend. She didn't deny it, but she didn't admit to it either. It was as if she didn't understand the host's underlying meaning. She skillfully steered the conversation in another direction. We'd like to invite Ms. Olivia to lead us to see the aurora. I wonder if she has any time. The man replied while turning the wheel. I'm not sure, but her house is right next door. You can go over and ask her later. We arrived safely at the guest house. Bai Ningbing intended to help carry the luggage, but I smiled and stopped her. I can handle things here. Take the children inside to rest and adjust to the time zone. Bai Ningbing looked at the two kids whose eyes were drooping with sleep. She gave a slight nod. Then she took them upstairs to wash up and put them to bed. Icelanders seemed to be born with a natural sense for romance. Even though the host didn't understand what the two were saying, he could still feel the intimacy between them. He softly uttered a sentence in Icelandic. A happy family. Bai Ningbing happened to overhear it. She couldn't help but smile slightly, and then replied in Icelandic. Thank you, sir. The host was a little surprised. He saw that they both had East Asian faces, so he had instinctively used English to communicate. He didn't expect that she would understand Icelandic. Bai Ningbing explained she had once lived in Iceland with her parents. She told him they were betrothed under the aurora back then. Bai Ningbing looked at the blanket of white snow and the glowing sky. She took a deep breath of the freezing air. The biting cold filled her nostrils, triggering memories from her childhood. She remembered being under the magical aurora back then. The whole family gathered around the fire inside the tent. Her mother would tell fairy tales, while her father played the harmonica. That scene was so warm and unforgettable. Bai Ningbing looked up at the lights on the second floor of the guest house. As if she were seeing her old home once again, she gave a soft, tender smile. After a day of resting to recover our strength, everyone was fully dressed in warm gear. At exactly 3 a.m. we got into the aurora hunter Olivia's car. Olivia was a woman, with her golden hair tied neatly behind her neck. A few wrinkles at the corners of her eyes showed that she was no longer young, but her eyes remained incredibly sharp and keen. Her manner of speaking was very brief and concise. The weather has been very good lately. It will be quite easy for us to observe the aurora. While driving, she monitored the satellite maps and cloud charts to constantly adjust our course. The night was deep and pitch black. It felt as if a thick mist were swallowing the car. The only safety was the ice field illuminated by the headlights. Faintly in the distance were the jagged silhouettes of snow-capped mountains. I was in awe of Mother Nature's magical touch, but I was also worried about the two children. I turned my head about to ask, Xiao Yu, are you scared? Are you cold? I saw him pressing his face against the glass, excitedly looking out, even though there was almost nothing to see outside. But the boy was not discouraged at all. He asked Olivia how much longer until we get there. Olivia glanced at me. Then she lightly turned the wheel and pressed the gas pedal a bit more. About half an hour. Half an hour later, we arrived at the first observation point, but we were informed that the wind direction had changed. The chances of seeing the aurora here were very low, after moving through 2 consecutive locations. By the time we reached the third observation point, everyone seemed to have lost hope of seeing the aurora. The wind on the ice field was bone-chilling. I told Xiao Yu and Bai Ruxu to wait in the car. Then Bai Ningbing. And I stepped out first, looking up at the pitch-black night sky, where only the stars were flickering, evoking a sense of infinite solitude. I breathed warmth into my hands, then rubbed my freezing hands together. I gazed toward where the aurora might appear, unable to hide the tinge of sadness in my eyes. The aurora is truly something that can only be met by fate. Perhaps this time I won't have the chance to witness it. While lost in thought, a rich fragrance suddenly wafted beside me. I turned my head to look. It was Bai Ningbing. She placed a cup of hot cocoa into my hands. Drink something hot to warm yourself up. I softly thanked her, and took the cup. With just one sip, the warmth seemed to spread throughout my body. Bai Ningbing noticed my disappointment. We will definitely see the aurora. I thought it was just words of comfort, so I only gave a faint smile, and bowed my head. Even Olivia said she couldn't be sure. Why are you so certain? Because you are here. Bai Ningbing's voice was so gentle, yet it made my heart tremble powerfully. I stared at Bai Ningbing stunned. In those deep eyes I saw an intense and profound affection, a love as radiant as the starlight. I was about to say something, when Xiao Yu and Bai Ruxu came running over. The aurora appeared with bands of blue and green light, like strokes of ink painted freely by an artist, winding freely across the sky creating exquisite colors. Dotted in between were sparkling stars. The brilliant light and thousands of stars spread across the horizon, making it impossible to look away. I gazed at the shimmering colorful aurora, with eyes full of fascination, as if I were seeing the end of the world, and touching the vast greatness of the universe. The scene was breathtakingly beautiful. I was completely absorbed in admiration, not knowing that Bai Ningbing was standing beside me, watching me with an intensely burning gaze. The aurora was the beauty for me, but the most beautiful sight in Bai Ningbing's eyes was me. Under the starry night sky, my eyes seemed to hold an entire galaxy, making it impossible for the person opposite to look away, until a soft hoarse cry of surprise rang out, pulling the two of us back to reality. Mommy. That was Bai Ruxu's voice. Xiao Yu was the first to hear it. He looked sideways in surprise, seeing Bai Ruxu staring at the aurora in a daze. Sister Ruxu. You can speak now. Xiao Yu exclaimed in shock. Bai Ningbing and I quickly ran over and surrounded her. My eyes were filled with shock. I knew that Ruxu refused to speak, due to post-traumatic stress disorder, but I didn't expect that obsession to be related to the aurora. Just as I was about to say something, a freezing gust of wind blew past, and in the next second, Bai Ruxu suddenly started coughing violently. Her chest heaved powerfully. Her face suddenly flushed red. A feeling of suffocation hit her, but she still acted as if she were under a spell. Her eyes remained fixed on the aurora, refusing to look away. I was stunned for a second. Only then did I belatedly realize the situation. These were the symptoms of a recurring asthma attack. I was about to run back to the car for the inhaler, but Bai Ningbing seemed to have anticipated it. She quickly stepped closer, pulled the medicine from her pocket, and sprayed it into Bai Ruxu's mouth. Take a deep breath, dear. She held Ruxu's head steady, so the girl wouldn't squirm, while softly reminding her to breathe steadily. Xiao Yu and I stood in front, helping to shield her from the freezing air of the ice field. It's an asthma attack triggered by the cold air, I explained to Olivia as she ran over in concern. Olivia nodded in understanding. She didn't just take the initiative to block the wind, but also handed a thermos of hot water to Bai Ruxu. Ruxu took it and had a sip. Only then was she considered fully recovered. Except for her ears being a bit flushed, she almost no longer showed the shortness of breath from earlier. Xiao Yu swooped in front of her. With a bit of curiosity, but mostly with joy, he spoke. Sister Ruxu, your voice sounds really beautiful. The boy's eyes were crystal clear. There was absolutely no malice in them, making Bai Ruxu feel warmed at heart. The girl slightly pursed her lips. Thank you, Xiao Yu. Ruxu being able to speak again was a wonderful thing. Seeing Xiao Yu skipping around her, I also beamed with a bright smile. I suddenly remembered something from before our departure. Bai Ningbing had mentioned that this trip to see the aurora was also intended to give Bai Ruxu some encouragement, because years ago Ruxu's parents and younger brother died in a house fire on the way to see the aurora. And they were all gone. Bai Ruxu luckily survived, because she was outside at the time. Since then the aurora had always been an obsession for her. Now that she could finally face it, overcoming the past was the key to her speaking again. It seems our goal for this trip has been achieved. Thinking this, I instinctively looked back for Bai Ningbing. But then unexpectedly, my gaze met those deep and radiant eyes. Bai Ningbing wasn't wearing glasses today. Those eyes possessed a mesmerizing beauty, capturing one's mind, making me unable to stop myself from drowning in them. I was dazed for a moment. I was just about to say something when she put a finger to her lips, signaling me to be silent. Then she looked down and glanced at her phone, while I was still wondering. The next second she looked directly up at me, with a radiant sunny smile. Her gaze was incredibly sincere. December 25th, exactly 0. Fang Yuan, happy birthday Appa. The entire starry sky seemed like a mere backdrop for her. I saw the aurora and the snow mountains in her eyes, but it took me a long time to regain my senses. I was just about to say thank you, and the phone in my pocket suddenly vibrated. I instinctively picked it up. It was Liu Ruian calling. I hesitated for a moment, gave Bai Ningbing an apologetic smile, then turned away to answer the call. Since that breakup, Liu Ruian had called me a few times. Xiao Yu now knew his mother wouldn't take him away, so the boy no longer felt afraid whenever she called. It's just that he didn't say much, and the conversations usually ended very quickly. I also rarely spoke with her. Whenever she called, I'd hand the phone to Xiao Yu after a few words. Calling out of the blue like this, perhaps there was something important. But as soon as I answered, the first thing I heard was Liu Ruian's low voice. Happy birthday Fang Yuan. Her voice sounded sober, but she could hide the fatigue within it. On the other end, the noisy bustle of the hospital could be heard. I realized almost immediately, perhaps she had been working non-stop for some time, and had intentionally waited for the exact time to call me. It was likely that after hanging up, she would have to go back to surgery or another meeting. My heart suddenly skipped a beat, separated by an entire ocean, calling in the early hours of the morning, just to send a birthday greeting. If this were before, I surely would have been moved beyond words, because for years Liu Ruian had never once celebrated a birthday with me. But now there was only calm within me. I even had a ridiculous thought at this moment. So she actually knew my birthday after all. I looked up, unable to suppress a self-deprecating smile. But when I spoke, my tone was distant and polite. Thank you, I'm sorry to have bothered you. It's no trouble at all. Liu Ruian. She almost frantically expressed her anguish and regret. She never hid the fact that she wanted to make it up to me and our son. That was truly Liu Ruian's style. She didn't even dare to hope for forgiveness. She just wanted to do her best to be a bit better to me, and then a bit more, hoping she could compensate for all the years that had passed. But I no longer wanted to give her that chance. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Wait, on the other end she seemed to pause for a moment. I bought gifts for you and Xiao Yu. Is it convenient for you two to receive them? We're on vacation. We won't be back until after New Year's. I answered honestly. After saying that I intended to end the conversation there, then I suddenly heard Liu Ruian's voice trembling. It's been a long time since we talked like this. Do you really have nothing to ask me? Though her tone was calm, I could still hear a hint of choked-up longing. I frowned slightly, because I had long ago lost any lingering feelings for her. I really don't care about your affairs anymore. As if fearing she might misunderstand something, I emphasized it once again. The only link between us now is the child. Just take good care of him, that's enough. And please don't call to bother me anymore. The other end fell silent for a moment. Only the sound of the wind whistling past my ears remained. Just as I thought Liu Ruian would say nothing more, and was about to hang up, I heard a very faint question. A question carrying an unmistakable tremor. You have someone you like now, don't you? My breath suddenly hitched. Somehow Bai Ningbing's face appeared in my mind. Her radiant eyes under the fireworks and the aurora, her small warm hands and her figure standing quietly over there, the one who was standing to block the wind for me. I was dazed for a moment. I didn't give a direct answer, but decisively pressed the end call button. The aurora is about to fade. We should head back. Olivia spoke up to remind us. I snapped out of my thoughts. I looked up at the magical lights fading in the sky. The silent night outlined the distant mountains. The freezing wind blew past, as if sweeping away the troubles in my heart. For some reason, I remembered the video my parents sent me when I was 20, when they made a wish together under the aurora. They wished for their son to have the freedom to choose whom he loved, and the right to refuse an unhappy love, to always live a liberated life without any regrets. Standing in the freezing winter, my mind had never been so clear and lucid. I turned to look at Bai Ningbing standing beside me. Somewhere in my chest it suddenly felt strangely warm and peaceful. Even when Xiao Yu knew it was my birthday, he regretted not making a wish under the aurora in time. At that moment I just smiled and stroked his head. There's no need to wish, son. My most important wish has already come true. When Bai Ningbing heard those words, somehow, her heart suddenly lit up. When we returned to the guest house, both children were sound asleep. The horizon was beginning to brighten. The night in Reykjavik finally came to a close. A new day was quietly approaching. I looked at the two little ones curled up together. Their sleeping faces looked so peaceful. I smiled a smile full of relief and freedom. I gently pulled the curtains for the two children. Just as I turned to walk out the door, a warm figure with a light citrus scent threw herself into my arms. Bai Ningbing's gaze was incredibly gentle. She slightly clenched her hand and held it out to me. When she opened her palm, a diamond-encrusted watch appeared. It sparkled right before my eyes. I was slightly dazed. Then I heard her soft voice. This is a birthday gift for you. I didn't have time to give it to you earlier. Bai Ningbing still wasn't wearing her glasses. Those beautiful slightly slanted eyes were fixed on me. Her gaze was incredibly intense, radiant and captivating like 1,000 stars, instantly enchanting me. I wasn't sure if I was stunned by the diamond or by her. The diamond sparkled like the brightest snowflake, reminding me of the fireworks that night, and the aurora just now. I hesitated for a moment, feeling that this gift was too expensive, and was about to refuse. But Bai Ningbing spoke up first. Don't feel pressured. This is my sentiment for you. I only hope you are always happy. I looked into her eyes, which were filled with tenderness. My heart suddenly fluttered powerfully. I smiled and nodded all right, then I will accept it, saying that I was about to reach out to take it. But in the next second my hand movement suddenly stopped. I slightly pursed my lips, then unexpectedly spoke. Will you put it on for me? Bai Ningbing was stunned for a moment. She didn't seem to expect me to make such a request, because for a long time she had always been the proactive one, while I had always remained polite and measured, always knowing when to step forward or back. Even the words she just spoke under the aurora, she feared whether she would scare me away. I had always been hesitant for so long. It was an answer she hadn't dared to hope for. My initiative in asking her to put on the watch. Could it be a sign of something more? Bai Ningbing's heart trembled slightly. She felt she was very close to the answer she had long desired. Seeing me hold out my bare wrist in front of her, Bai Ningbing's gaze wavered slightly. She pursed her lips to suppress the excitement surging inside. Her hands shook, but with surgical precision she stepped closer. Her hand skillfully circled my wrist to carefully fasten the watch. The distance between us was now so incredibly close. Bai Ningbing always thought she was the proactive one, that she had tried everything to attract me and create intimacy, with the burning hope that I would fall for her. But she didn't realize that just a tiny sign of me wanting to be near would make her hands tremble immediately, as if she were about to lose her usual composure. The tip of her nose caught a faint woody scent from me, like a flower with a fragrance that enchants people's hearts, making her unable to resist wanting to lose herself in it. But all those emotions happened in the blink of an eye. No matter how much her inner self was churning, her hands still moved with great agility. In an instant she had finished putting the watch on me. Then she stepped back slightly to maintain distance, but from the corner of her eye she noticed my ears turning red. Her movements suddenly paused. Then she couldn't help but let out a giggle. Look, your ears have gone completely red. I suddenly stood there dazed for a moment. Hearing those words, a deep blush of shyness spread all the way to her ears. I pursed my lips slightly, then stole a quick glance at her. I said, it's because I like you that my ears are red. Bai Ningbing. Those words, I like you, made her eyes widen in shock. Completely wide, her brain seemed to short-circuit, unable to react yet. She froze for a few seconds before realizing. You said you like me. I was so used to her calm and composed demeanor that this was the first time I saw Bai Ningbing react so slowly. It felt like I had finally reached her truest self. She just looked so adorable. I couldn't help but step closer. Cupping her face in my hands, I placed a soft kiss on those lips. I like you. Just as I finished, and was about to pull back, a pair of arms wrapped around my waist. Bai Ningbing. The corners of her eyes flushed with shyness. Her lips were plump and moist. My gaze darkened, leaning my forehead against hers, gently brushing our noses together, whispering softly, I love you. Outside the window the snow was 3 feet deep. A cold wind swept across the frozen fields, but inside the room it was as warm as spring. The lovers shared a deep kiss. Adult love is only slow when it's still ambiguous. But once it's certain, it's like dry wood meeting fire, burning intensely. Everything happened so naturally. The trip to Iceland ended. The 4 of us returned to the city. The 2 children took the news very well. In fact, as soon as we got home, Xiaoyu playfully ran up to me with a giggle. Daddy, does this mean I'll get to call Auntie Bai Ningbing mommy soon? I felt a bit helpless, looking at his mischievous sparkling eyes. Knowing he was teasing on purpose, I was about to pinch his little ear, to teach him a lesson. But just as I reached out, the doorbell rang. Bai Ningbing quickly shielded Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu was just joking. Go open the door. I'll talk to you later. Only then did I pull my hand back. I'll let you off this time. Xiaoyu ran to open the door. But the person standing outside was someone unexpected. Liu Ruyan. I was stunned for a moment, wondering what she was doing here. Just as I was about to ask, I felt a warmth behind me. It was Bai Ningbing walking over. She naturally took my arm, standing beside me with an intimate air. Liu Ruyan's face paled at the sight. We are together. Liu Ruyan watched the 2 of us exchange intimate glances. Her heart tightened. The exhaustion and haggardness from working nonstop to save up days for a transoceanic flight didn't hurt her as much as this single action of mine. Her heart felt as if someone were squeezing it. A sour, painful sensation overwhelmed her chest. All those times I said were over before. Couldn't break her will. But only now did she truly realize I had already moved on, leaving only her standing in the past. Liu Ruyan felt a pain as if being sliced by 1,000 blades. She looked into my surprised eyes and swallowed back the question she intended to ask. She took a gift box out of her handbag. This is a birthday gift for you. The hands of a surgeon usually so steady were now trembling uncontrollably, as if giving this gift were harder than heart surgery. I looked at her, and reached out to take it anyway. Seeing that she had nothing else to say, I couldn't help but ask, is there anything else? Liu Ruyan blanked out for a moment, lost in thought. Xia Qiang got engaged to a college friend. The wedding is set for next March. If you have time, you're invited to the wedding. I was slightly taken aback, then gave a small nod. I see. I hesitated for a moment. Seeing Liu Ruyan fall silent again. Do you want me to call Xiao Yu out? You guys. No need. Liu Ruyan pursed her lips tightly. Clutching her bag, she prepared to leave. Maybe another time when there's a chance. I have work, I can't stay long. With that, she turned and walked straight out, leaving only me and Bai Ningbing, who had been silent all along, watching her walk away. My mind was full of questions. She crossed 8 time zones, flew for over 10 hours, just to deliver a gift. Bai Ningbing looked at my suddenly wary figure. She naturally understood the meaning behind that hurried departure. She just gently adjusted her glasses and closed the door. Ignore her. We haven't even unpacked our luggage yet. She placed a soft kiss on my lips and pulled me into the living room to unpack. Let's go eat at that Chinese place to celebrate your birthday belatedly. Before I could even speak, the 2 children looked up with excitement, seeing Bai Ruxu much more open and Xiao's bright smile. I couldn't help but laugh along. No one expected that such a warm scene would repeat constantly from then on, becoming our daily life. Until the day of the Harvard Medical School graduation. I knelt on one knee. Amidst a sea of flowers and admiring gasps, Bai Ningbing said those words. I do. Everything became perfectly complete. Bai Ruxu tilted her head and called me uncle, while Xiao Yu unceremoniously threw himself into Bai Ningbing's arms. Mommy. Looking at Xiao Wu's excitement, I smiled tenderly. Seeing this, Bai Ningbing strode forward and hugged me tight. Feng Yuan. For the rest of my life I will always love you. The last time these words were said was in the snowy fields of Iceland, and this time it's under the brilliant sunshine of Boston. Without hesitation I pulled her into a tight embrace. I love you too. Bai Ruxu lowered her lashes and covered Xiao Wu's eyes in the long rays of light under the warm sun. The 2 of them shared a deep and passionate kiss.